Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Click R3 number 30. 30 in so far. And it's funny. I was asking Ryan, I was like, you want to do the stream on Tuesday? And he made the correct call, kind of out of necessity, but still the correct call to wait like 2 days because like a stupid amount of stuff happened in the span of 48 hours.
Well, sometimes I make that call correctly and sometimes I don't. Because I think we missed a lot of the fiscal year stuff. From the financial report.
Oh, is that like how it like worked out right there?
Well, like from 2 weeks ago, yeah, because we like just missed that basically. So sometimes I make a good call and other times I don't.
I think this was a good call because the stuff that happened this week was pretty crazy. So
yeah.
Dominated the headlines. Dominated. Let's see. Oh, we got people coming in here. We got Varang is in here, Medallion, Pikmin Guts 92. PS6 hype. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Going on, good people.
Yes, I got everyone piling in. Shout out to all the people tuning in live. How's your week been, Ryan?
Week's been good. Yeah.
Good week. It's been busy, man. There's so much stuff happening. Gamescom. I forgot how that Gamescom week can go sometimes. Wherever this Gamescom week has definitely been busier than last year's Gamescom week, from what I remember. There's a lot of stuff hit.
Do you think this one was busier?
I think so. I mean, also because of the stuff that Sony did, that they dropped that in there. And I think there's, I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot more happening all at once. And also we got certain things for Silksong and some of the hyped stuff. So I don't know, it seemed like a lot of stuff was hitting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I feel like the Gamescom week kind of snuck up on us, to be honest. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Gamescom's next week.
Damn. I think Tokyo Game Show is going to do the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much, because that's in September. So it's kind of back to back with these shows, you know.
Yeah, and all that news comes out overnight for us. So we'll like in the morning we'll get up and be like, "Whoa, look at all the stuff that happened."
And well, the thing too, SI is going to be actually exhibiting there, which we know what games are going to be on display. Whereas for Gamescom, they're not exhibiting. But even still, there's just a ton of things to talk about, at least as far as third-party stuff goes. And Sony did this time around give Jeff Keighley one little thing that which we'll get to later in the show anyway.
Yeah, and there's just a ton of games are really starting to come out now. Like starting next week, it's just constant game releases.
Yeah, October looks nuts. Like you could play the 10, 20, 30 something games out of that lineup, and you're playing nothing but like good stuff basically.
Yeah, it's looking kind of ridiculous. It is. Okay, I think people had a chance to pop in here. What do we got tonight anyway, Ryan? What's the move tonight?
You were supposed to give me some updates here on Battlefield 4. You spent some time with that game, I'm assuming, right?
The new Battlefield 6.
Oh, 6. I wrote 4. My dumbass.
Yeah. Battlefield 6. Yeah.
No, I did out of loop I am.
I did have a chance to play it. Yeah, I spent some time with it because they did 2 beta weekends. The second one they brought in kind of this deathmatch sort of mode, which is interesting. But I had a chance to play more of the full-scale battles, which is what a lot of people were curious about. And it's chaotic and crazy. And it, in a way, it was like Lemmings kind of trying to file through like a little funnel most times, because there was, I think it was it Rush or Breakthrough. That's the mode I liked, where you go between different points and the defenders try to barricade you out basically by getting to a certain point in the map. You have so much stock, but if you break through, you get stock replenishment, and you just kind of keep pushing them further and further back into their map until you get to the headquarters. And then if you take that, you win. That ends up being like a 30-minute thing though. The thing with these Battlefield, a lot of the big Battlefield maps that people like think of Battlefield 4, you end up just playing it for 30 to 40 minutes. So it is a time investment. It's not a Call of Duty map where you can play a team deathmatch or whatever in 6 minutes or something. But the mode I was curious about, because I do think that's something that a lot of people are going to play, would be the deathmatch. And the way they did it, and I guess it's just still in typical Battlefield fashion, where they want to have a bunch of people kind of involved. It was 16 people, I believe, in the room, and they did 4 teams of 4 all going against each other. So it was like constant fighting. It's not like, it's 8 on 8. So you have, 7 teammates. You have 3 teammates and then just another like 12 people out there that may attack you. So it felt more chaotic that way. And I thought it was kind of in a good way. The thing that throws me off about this Battlefield though, is it feels like a military shooter, which is good. And I think it feels even more so like a military shooter because Call of Duty, I don't even know what Call of Duty is anymore. I'm sure we'll talk about their trailer, but who knows what's going on there. But this feels like that boots on the ground military action. However, I don't really know what's destructible and what's not most times. So sometimes you can destroy a wall and go through it, and then other times nothing happens to it. So I'm still unsure if that has to do with the beta itself, or if that just has to do with how the game is going to function when it comes out. Because they withheld a lot of weapons and some abilities, and they kind of gave us the bare minimum, just to play the game and see if it's functional. But I like the shooting. I thought was good. Took some getting used to. It's not as floaty and fast as Call of Duty, but I don't mind that because I've kind of had enough of that, I think, now after year of Call of Duty. But I like what I saw. I'm going to pick it up when it comes out. It sold me enough on it to be like, okay, I'll give them another chance. We got to see what launch is like. It was kind of sad that people were logging in and they were hyped for the scoreboard being there. Because the Battlefield 2042 launched with no scoreboard. Which was crazy to me. But that's just where we were. That was just the time for Battlefield. So the times, no.
Well,
better this time, though.
The consensus is that this is like Battlefield, like sort of returning to form here, you know?
Yep. I feel like that phrase gets overused a lot, and it's a shame because this is the time where you would use that phrase. Yes, return to form.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, and that's the debate going on right now between that and Call of Duty, which I don't know if that's like completely overblown. It's not like Call of Duty is not going to sell incredibly well, but it seems like it's a more of a refreshing take to go back to something that's very different as far as map sizes, like destructible environments, and something that's a bit more weighty. You know, it's not to say Battlefield is heavy feeling, but generally it's a lot heavier than like Call of Duty, which feels like very light and twitchy, fast paced, you know?
Yeah. Battlefield is just heavier, which is fine. It's just, I don't think it's going to pull away the younger audience who likes the crazy wall running off the wall, Beavis and Butthead, Call of Duty. So
is it fair to say like Battlefield appeals to like a older generation?
It does. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Wonder if that would actually hamper the sort of like onboarding for that game, speaking to a younger audience.
It's going to come down to the battle royale mode that they're doing. They're doing that as well. It'll come down to that. So,
all right. Well, that's good. That's good. You want to get into some stories here, John?
Yes, sir.
We, of course, have our PS Plus Extra and Premium August lineup, which is now live on PSN. Just went live, actually. Handful of good games here. Mortal Kombat 1. We have both Marvel Spider-Man and Spider-Man Remastered, so the PS4 and remastered PS5 versions. Sword of the Sea is a day one launch going right into PS Plus Extra. That's from Giant Squid. Earth Defense Force 6. We've got Unicorn Overlord, Atelier Ryza 3, Indica, Harold Halibut, Coral Island, and also this one kind of came out of nowhere. This was not announced before, but it also went into PS Plus Extra. That is the Rogue Prince of Persia. That launched day one as well, which is that like rogue-like Prince of Persia. Basically, it's been in early access for about a year. So that's extra. And then premium, we have 2 Resident Evil games, the other 2, which is the second game and Nemesis. And they're already live, so we do know, because with Capcom, kind of a weird thing here. They don't like to pay for the additional trophy add-on, so these games still don't have trophies, but they're not paywalled. Because initially, Capcom games were paywalled behind premium. You can buy these a la carte, but no trophies, John.
What are they even doing? What is this?
What are they doing? Capcom won't pay for them.
I will say Sword of the Sea is awesome.
Yeah, what a game. I'm assuming it's short, right?
I've almost beaten it again. So I've beaten it once. I'm about to beat it again. Okay. It's 2.5. The first run through was 2.5 hours, and I was just messing around on some stuff. Like they have it. You're surfing around or skating around, wherever you want to phrase it, with their sword. But you could do all kinds of tricks, and there are some spots where they have almost score attack mode is what happens, because a timer can start and then you can just do tricks and try to rack up a high score. And I was trying that for a few times, and I ended up and I was kind of wandering a little bit, still beat the game in 2.5 hours. There's a trophy for being at less than 2 hours, and I am coming up to the end of it again, and I'm just over an hour. So they have New Game Plus, and the idea is going to be you play through it a couple of times. But if you have an OLED TV, this is mandatory. You have to play this game.
It looks gorgeous.
It is a cool looking game. The art style is great. It's a more simplistic art style to a degree. Like, it's not hyper realistic or anything, but the way that they use the colors for the changing environment as you solve puzzles and do things, it's kind of like you see this dreary area. It's just a lot of gray and, brown. Instead, like, the color's been kind of sucked out of it. But then you complete the objective or whatever, you activate a thing, and then all of a sudden it springs to life. So there's a lot of really nice alive green and reds and stuff that comes into view, and it just looks awesome. If you have a really nice OLED or even just a decent OLED, it's gonna look cool. So I like the game, how it feels when you play it. It's very smooth, like the skating around on the sword. At times I was a little, it's almost like Tony Hawk, where you don't necessarily always stop where you want to. You just kind of go a little further than you're expecting, but you get used to it, and you can do, like I said, cool tricks. There are abilities that you unlock, and it all happens very fast because, like I said, 2.5 hour runtime. So you're constantly doing stuff. You don't spend too much time in any one area, but there's still stuff you can find. So I was looking at the trophies. Somehow in a 2-hour game, there's like 46 trophies.
That actually is kind of insane. I mean, there's like probably a bunch of miscellaneous tasks that are like easy to overlook.
There was one where it's like ride a whale or something, and I'm like, what? How do I do that? And then I was skating around. I see a whale go by, and I just jump on the whale, and it gave me the trophy. So that was it. I thought there was a whole story thing to it. No, it's literally just jump on the whale when you see it. That's it.
From the PS3 days, all those PSN titles that were like, on the shorter end, they always had like a smaller list, no platinum. Mm-hmm. So it's like overbearing when there's like 40 plus different things. Well, if there's 40 plus trophies, that means they used up a bunch of bronze basically. Otherwise, they could have easily gotten the list smaller if they used up a bunch of golds or something. But good to hear. Good to hear. All right, now because that lineup is live though, John, we do have some games leaving PS Plus Extra and Premium in June. So you got about 3 weeks left to play these games. That would be UFC 5, The Plucky Squire, Night in the Woods, Road 96, Odin Sphere, Fist Forged in Shadow Torch, Dragon's Crown Pro, and then Premium is missing Pistol Whip PSVR 2. Another PSVR 2 game.
PSVR 2 again.
I think there's got to be like 3 games on Premium now for PSVR 2. They're all just expiring. They're not putting any new ones on there. But Fist Forge and Shadow Torch, that was one of the earliest China Hero games. Very good. Dragon's Crown Pro, one of those side-scrolling, like sort of early PS4 generation, late PS3 Vita games. Really good there. Road 96 is fun. I like Night in the Woods a lot. Night in the Woods is a very cozy style game. The protagonist is a cat, and you're in this like, sort of like middle America town, and it's like very like coming of age teen vibes. Very good feeling there. And then Plucky Squire was also a day one launch. That game was pretty high profile as well. I didn't play it, but it's leaving.
Plucky Squire,
6 months or something. Yeah,
it's a cool game.
Did you finish it?
No, I played it and I put it down for something, and I can't remember what it was, and I haven't gone back to it. But I did get the twist where it's like turns 3D and stuff. I was like, that's kind of cool, but it didn't hold my attention as long.
Interesting. I mean, that's the thing about that game. It kind of stood out amongst all the other games that are coming out nowadays.
Yeah.
We have a small update for Light of Motiram. Shortly after our podcast from 2 weeks ago, the Steam page was updated, and they changed out all the screenshots. They changed the key art, and they redid the description.
Someone's losing in court. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to really be enough. I don't think that's quite compliant to the degree that Sony would be happy with, but minor update. They are trying.
It was obvious to all of us. Come on, like yeah.
I don't know. It's funny how they like. If you check the screenshots too, it's like this is still Horizon, but now it's just like teetering on the edge, like that character in DS2. It's like, oh, that's not Snake, but it's Snake.
Yeah, that starts to feel like them knowing that they're guilty, and they're like, how do we dress this up a little bit? Change the screenshots, change them.
Can't they just use that in like the court case too? Like if a proceeding actually goes down, can't they just include that? And like, oh, look what they did on this date.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's all. But like, they know that they did something wrong here. Here's them trying to change it. Yeah. I'm sure. It seems so obvious to us. I mean, they have very expensive, high-powered lawyers, I'm sure, so they have that all figured out.
We'll be following that story, see what happens there. I still, you got to assume they want to just close that out and not let it get to that point.
Oh yeah.
We also have a few older stories to clean up here. So one thing we had happen was the PS3 PlayStation Store went down for about 4 days, and it didn't go down in the sense that like it's like spitting out an error code, and nobody knows what's going on. It would just tell you it's under maintenance. So it was under maintenance, unprompted. You know, Sony's not putting out PSAs for this or anything. It's the PS3 store, but it kept going. So about 4 days is when it was under maintenance. Came back online last Saturday night, like Sunday morning, depending on where you were. But obviously, that's something where it tends to spook people. What's going on? PS3 PlayStation Store.
You mentioned that. It's really funny. You know what video started to just all of a sudden spike in traffic was the one I did most recently, checking out the PS3 store.
Yeah.
You know, not that long ago, I see it. I'm like, oh, wow, people are hitting this video. I wonder why. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's down for maintenance. So people are thinking maybe it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. When they tried to close it in, April 2021, it would have been, you know, they did put out they did a PSA. That was on the PlayStation blog. You know, the very public social setting where they make those kind of announcements. So I know some people looked at this and they got a little bit scared, but I think if they're going to close the store again, they will do their due diligence and do it properly. So I wouldn't freak out too much. I would think that it's just a very low priority to whatever they had to do on the back end to get the store back up, but it is back up for now. So do I.
I'm still buying themes out there, Ryan.
I don't know, not themes, but I'm still transacting on the PS3 store.
Okay.
Content's still available, John. Gotta pay for it.
Hey,
come on out.
Hey,
not here stealing. Kidding me?
What will you do when the store's gone?
Cry.
How will you get the stuff though for your videos?
Then I'll steal it. But for now, I'll pay. For now, I'll pay for it. I got to hear what you thought about this, John. So Helldivers 2 launching on Xbox very soon. But what's a good way to celebrate that? You know, what's a very welcoming sort of thing you can do for Helldivers and the Xbox community, huh? How about
the ODST out?
How about a Halo ODST collab? So that's coming out the same day as the Xbox release, so it's dropping on August 26th. Initially, it was like this trailer. There's like a tease near the end, plays the ODST theme, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, we know what that's going to be." So now it's official. It's going to be a new legendary war bond for 1,500 super credits. It's going to include the rifle, pistol, shotgun, the Helljumper armor set, the Recon armor set. Going to be a ton of new capes, abilities, banners, and player titles. And yes, it will be available on PlayStation 5 as well. So the first time Halo, as far as game content, this is the first time it appears on PlayStation.
Yep. No Master Chief yet, but ODST.
ODST.
No Master Chief yet. This is a great idea. I mean, it's just an obvious collab. It was obvious to all of us, so naturally, I'm sure as soon as they probably started working on the port, they probably had this in their mind. Oh, what if we did an ODST crossover? Because people have floated the idea that Sony is going to be paying attention just to see how sales are with something like this going to the Xbox. It's a nice just test for them. This is the best case scenario to give it the best chance possible to attach ODST to it for Xbox, because it's the Xbox brand with Halo. So I do feel like there are going to be people who are going to buy Helldivers 2 on the Xbox because of this collaboration.
Right? You think it's going to that's going to be the thing, right? Like, oh,
I think it's going to move the needle. Yeah.
Wow,
I do. I think so. I mean, it's a $40 game. I know the Legendary War Bond costs money and stuff. I get that. But people obviously have no problem doing that in things like Destiny or Fortnite or Call of Duty Warzone at this time. So I think this is something that if somebody's kind of on the fence, it might push them over to pick it up then when you see ODST. Also, it's kind of that landmark moment in gaming where you go,
well, it's a fan favorite. People liked ODST a lot.
Yeah, but like Sony and Microsoft collaborate, because Sony posted the trailer that had ODST in there for Microsoft, and then Microsoft posted on their blog or their news Xbox website all the information there. So they're even working together on the marketing.
Yeah.
It's a big collaboration now.
Pretty much. And they did the Killzone collab. That would also mean in theory that because I imagine the content in the game is not changing, which means Xbox players could also I think the War Bond is still in there. I don't know. It might be one of those things where they let that content expire because live service games do that shit. But I believe the Killzone content's in there too. So you should be able to get the Killzone stuff. Somebody in the chat could probably correct me if I'm wrong. But you know, as live service games do that, they just do these like item rotations. So some, oh no, wait, I think they confirmed that they're going to keep all the content like always available. So they're not doing that. So it should be available. I haven't booted up Helldivers 2 in a while, but I think every cosmetic they've released should be like available to buy in game.
The Killzone on the Xbox, huh?
Yeah, Killzone on Xbox, ODST on PlayStation, and then also the Prisoner Exchange is happening on the 26th. So that's when they get Helldivers 2. We get Gears of War.
Hey, that's big stuff right there.
Well, so an adjacent news story here, John. PlayStation was apparently the driving force behind the Helldivers 2 Xbox port. So in the Helldivers community Discord, Arrowhead's CEO, Shams Georgiani, responded to fans that were praising the company for making the Xbox release possible, and they responded by saying, and I quote, "It was all PlayStation. Send them your thanks. We were all in support, of course." He then elaborated further by saying that they think it's one of the coolest things they've done. So how do you think about that, John?
I think it was obvious from the start, and I think people are trying to come up with conspiracy theories that like Arrowhead put Sony over a barrel somehow and was like, "No, we're porting this over to Xbox. You can't stop us." And even though it's Sony's IP, that's the thing. You come back to it, it's Sony's like intellectual property, and somehow Arrowhead hijacked it and did a port for Xbox, and Sony just couldn't stop them. No, to me, this just seems like a test for Sony to see how the Xbox audience responds to this. And it's still live service. I know there's a lot of discussion right now, especially after this announcement, that Sony's going to put everything everywhere now. We just still haven't seen evidence of that, but it's certainly not impossible. Like now more than ever would be the time for them to try something like that. But I think it starts here. And I think it's always been obvious that it was Sony when the Lego Horizon thing went to Switch, because Guerrilla was like, yeah, we wanted to do that too. Yeah, we did that. Like again, there was a whole lot of conspiracy around that too. Like, how did the Lego company come in here and do the port and make them do it? It's like, no, Guerrilla they were like, hey, this might work well on the Switch. Let's put it there. And it didn't work. To be fair, it didn't work well anywhere, but they took a shot at it. And here Sony was like, hey, let's see if this live service third-person shooter on the shooter box will sell. That's what the Xbox really is. It's a shooter box. You look at the top. If I pull up the top games, Minecraft is up there, sure, but then it's like Call of Duty Warzone, Destiny, Fortnite, everything with a gun that shoots. Why not?
I think the only test here is like selling a premium game on Xbox and it's not on Game Pass.
That's fair. That is true.
A lot of big publishers, like, that is their nervousness. Like, if it's not a Game Pass game, that audience just has different buying habits. So
I think that's why ODST's here. I think it's one of the reasons, like to try to
move the needle
over the edge. Yeah. Also, it's a $40 game, so that does help a little bit. It's not, it's 70 and that's it. It's like, well, now it's 40, and people are going to be inclined maybe to even get their friends to jump in, because that's just kind of how Helldivers is. It's like, it's PvE, so you want to find people you can play with, and that community is pretty welcoming. So I think it all adds up to, I think this is going to do better than people are expecting on the Xbox. Like I think they're going to make money from this game.
I always kept liking it to, like, I think for Sony, it's like, yeah, why would we not take another like 10-15% additional revenue? Because it's still a small install base. I mean, it's not going to match like PS5 numbers or Steam numbers, but if they can see like an additional 15-something% of revenue off this game, and it's inherently live service, and it's going to just that sort of lines up very well, I don't see why they wouldn't eventually come to that conclusion. That's why I always played the devil's advocate of like, I could see that happening. That, and it tells you, like, all you need to know is PlayStation Publishing LLC is doing it. They didn't find a different publisher to do it. They are doing it.
That's all.
We do have some other PlayStation business news. This actually just broke like a few hours ago. Big shakeup at Bungie. The CEO is retiring, or he's like walking away. So confirmed on Bungie's site, after 2 decades, the CEO, Pete Parsons, is stepping down. Justin Truman will be the new studio head, and previously Justin has been a leader in engineering, production design, and he was recently the GM for Destiny 2 and the chief development officer. And this comes right off the back of the financial report where Sony pretty much confirmed that Bungie is now being absorbed into PlayStation Studios proper. So, I mean, there's a lot of breadcrumbs here to sort of pick up on what's playing out here. I always like to play this sort of devil's advocate of anybody that's been at a company for 20 plus something years. There's always the distinct chance that it's simply like somebody just moving on. But the other like elephant in the room here, John, of course, is that there has been a lot of grievances being aired out for Pete Parsons from former and existing Bungie staff, complaints of Bungie leadership, and then you have SIE taking over back on office operations and now absorbing all of the entire company. And I don't know. I think there's definitely a certain read on the situation that maybe Bungie or Sony rather is trying to clean house. But I don't know. What do you think about this?
Well, how long did they have to? I had to look. How long did they have to stick around with their contract to have their stuff vest and just get like the golden parachute treatment? Basically,
Right.
I don't know how long. I feel like that was 3 or 4 years because they had told us some of the, or I think it got out there. Just they're like Bloomberg reporting or Paul Tassi talking about, or some people who are really close with Bungie and some of the staff there and some of the business operations. But I think it was like 3 or 4 years. So it might be as straightforward as, okay, this hasn't gone according to plan. I thought we would have been a better spot. It's time for me to leave and take the money. It might be that. I mean, I'm sure he probably got a nice payout. He could just be real. And he can probably go, and he's the guy I think was talking about the classic cars. He could probably go fill up the garage a bit more and go retire.
Another guy that's your, the man got his bag. No matter what happened, he can just leave now.
I think that's what I really do think that's what it comes down to. Also, it does seem like there are some serious changes happening at Bungie, so I don't think you can ignore that. And he might not necessarily look like where this is going and is taking door number 2 with the money instead. And it's like, okay, I don't really want to go to Sony at this point because that wasn't necessarily where I thought we were going to be after we signed that deal, because I thought it would have been a better spot. So I'm going to step aside and let some other people take the reins, and I'll go retire.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I don't know. Like it's weird to say it's good news when like a company gets absorbed into a much larger organization, but like it's odd how this entire like Bungie thing the past 2-something years, I've seen from like diehard Bungie faithfuls following this company for years now at this point. They're like, maybe they need this. Maybe they need somebody to step in, whip them up and sort of reset the company culture. Because there's always been that complaint of like, apparently they pitch a lot of different ideas. Maybe we can go back to single player, and leadership just keeps saying no. So I would like to think that maybe this is good news.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Bungie really hasn't done much to show that they can run themselves since they were acquired. So, I mean, yeah, they gave them a lot of chances. I feel like Sony let them burn a lot of money and a lot of kind of goodwill with what they were trying to do, and it just has not worked. And then let's face it, that marathon situation, I mean, man, that definitely did not spur on confidence at all. So,
well, that's the thing. It's that was the contingency plan, is that they were allowed to be independent unless they are making certain financial milestones, and they just weren't hitting those. So
yeah. And Ben brings up a good point. Even Destiny, when the final shape released, the game's just not friendly to new players in any way. And this keeps being brought up. I see people who are really into Destiny are like, it's hard to tell people where to start. How do you get into something that's so many years old? And they remove content, a lot. They have like the vault, and they'll take, because the file size is too big, but they can't move on to make another game because they're always working on Destiny 2. So it's like, what do you do? I don't know.
I don't know either. But what I do know is they got to try and take a different direction, and perhaps the new studio head is going to do that.
I think the answer was always make Destiny 3, and they just never started.
You really think that was the answer? I would love to see Bungie I really keep thinking about like, oh, this small team allegedly wanted to pitch a single player game. That would have been really neat to like just spin off like 40, 50 people and just see what that turns out to be,
Or should Destiny have never gotten a sequel? They build on Destiny going forward, and then they do things like you mentioned, a spinoff for single player or other types of multiplayer games. Like maybe when they made that Destiny 2 sequel, now the expectation is, oh, well, obviously there's gonna be a Destiny 3 because they've numbered it. But yeah, we're still on Destiny 2. That came out in 2017?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So it's been a while.
I don't know. I mean, the onboarding problem is definitely an issue. I would imagine if I booted up Destiny 2 right now, I'd be completely overwhelmed by whatever the hell's going on in that game. So perhaps a Destiny 3 would make more sense. But I'm also,
I'd be interested in Destiny 3. I'd be like, okay, maybe this is a good starting point. We'll see.
Perhaps. John, we have more business news. A lot of stuff going on here. A lot of business stuff actually going on. So SI has also sold off their shares of Evo. Now, for those that don't remember, SI acquired joint ownership of Evo in 2021 with RTS, and now they've sold their shares to Nodwin Gaming, which is a company backed by the Sony Group. So it's kind of a roundabout way that's happening. And now SI is going to be a sponsor of Evo through 2028. I don't know if this is like an Obama awarding Obama meme going on, or like not really. I don't know enough about fighting games and Evo to like have a read on this situation. I don't like at all.
I don't really know what happened here. You say it's kind of still sort of within Sony and around, as you said, a roundabout way. I don't get it. I always thought they bought Evo with the sense of we'll invest in this and that'll be kind of it. Although I don't know how involved they were with the day-to-day operations with setting all of that up for Evo. But this comes on the heels of the last event, and like that seemed like it was big. I saw a lot of people online discussing it, and maybe that's when they thought, oh, okay, let's get the gears in motion here to make this sale. And then that just kind of cemented it after the event when I guess this entity or the other party saw everything that was going down. Like, all right, we're good. Let's get the paperwork all done. I don't know. It seems weird because you mentioned it's been 4 years, 3 years, 4 years.
4 years. I feel like it's like maybe a conflict of interest. Like now they've got their own fighter. And so it's like, what by the time they ship Marvel Tokon, it just looks maybe a certain way that they've got joint ownership in this thing, that they're now pushing their own game in. And I mean, I'm seeing other people say like, oh, does this mean like Nintendo will come back to the event now that Sony's like slightly distanced away from it? But again, I just don't have a good read on Evo. I don't know if that's even remotely a thing or if it's possible, you know?
I don't know. Also, the Smash community always fights each other, so I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work out there anyway.
Yeah.
But I know Smash is big wherever it goes, but that community is not have a great image online right now. So I mean, it just doesn't. Like you see online, people just always fighting over the Smash community. You would never expect that kind of a game to have that kind of a community around it fighting all the time.
I mean, I don't know. It's a fighter, right? Smash.
People argue as it is about like, well, don't say that.
let them fight, John.
It's I mean, people say it's a party game, people say it's a fighting game. I don't know, man. It's all over the place. But and also Nintendo is always looming in the background somewhere, trying to figure out if you're even allowed to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
So you said they bought Evo their share in 2021, right? Maybe because of everything that's been happening with inflation of assets and stuff, maybe they just made money on it. They're like, oh, we can flip this and actually make something on it, and we don't have to necessarily be as attached to it anymore, and we'll just be a sponsor.
Well, yeah, I think it could be as simple as that, because Evo did grow the last few years, right? It's like kind of the whole point is that it's
buy low, sell high.
Yeah, it was, well, ideally. We would all like to do that in this economic environment.
Buy high, sell even higher. That's a move.
Pretty much, yeah. We also have some studio news for Media Molecule. Their last co-founder has left the company. So as a reminder, Media Molecule was established in 2006 by David Smith, Alex Evans, Mark Healy, and Kareem Atuni. So David Smith announced their departure on their social media accounts, and they did this in order to pursue personal creative projects. So they said, and I quote here, 20 years ago, I founded MM with some wonderful people. It feels like only yesterday I was noodling away on the prototype that grew into Little Big Planet. Today, I'm announcing that I am leaving MM to focus on personal creative projects. So Media Molecule at this point, I mean, yeah, everybody has left. There's been a lot of turnover at the company at this point. As far as the studio culture, who knows where that's at. They're starting up they've at this point, like a year and a half, 2 years into a new project. It's probably pretty far away still from getting a formal reveal, and that's assuming that the first 1.5, 2 years was going well. So at this point, I think there's just a lot of pressure on Media Molecule to show something and deliver something that is a little bit more easier to market and actually sell and monetize. Whereas Dreams was just a 10-year, I don't want to say waste, but just to spend that much time.
It felt like one.
Yeah, to spend that much time on a game and it went nowhere. Like I like Dreams a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it just the embarrassing thing is not taking it that step further to like let creators monetize in the game,
right?
Let it be a true platform. So I think now it's like, maybe next time you guys do something, like, let's just make this kind of like a tearaway thing. Like, just make a game we can sell. We can sell this, market it, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like that was their thought process and it just never materialized. So that's why I do think it feels like a waste of time with Dreams. The idea was there, just they couldn't quite get to the finish line with the execution. And everyone on PC, which is another weird thing to me. That seems like that was an obvious match. Even just scouting talent, that seems like a great avenue to do that. But I'm curious, do you think that they do have another game, or do you think this is telling of maybe they're kind of on the outs right now and Sony is looking at them a little sideways?
Oh, they have another project, yeah.
But do you think that actually, because we've heard other studios have projects and then we find out 2 years later they get canceled?
Well, I mean, that remains to be seen if that would happen here. All we know right now is that they do have a new game they're doing. Like they
but
do
you think though? Do you think they're going to come out with their next game? Yeah. What's your take? Do you think it's going to happen or no?
I sincerely hope so. I think the position they're in right now, like within context of, we spent a lot of time on Dreams, and that was maybe a little overly ambitious, and we didn't quite, like, that didn't come together. I think the idea now is the next thing we pitch is going to be a very traditional marketable game.
Okay.
And I think that's like an easy thing to do, especially if we're talking about it, like if it's smaller in scope. Let's say it's like an Astrobot. This thing doesn't necessarily have to be what a Dreams was. It could be like a Tearaway, and it could be spun up and shipped within 3-4 years.
Right.
And maybe it can be just a more boutique thing. You know, I think that's the play, and I think that's a safer play too. Like, I think that's an avenue where it ends up releasing and Media Molecule stays afloat. Whereas if they try to do another very ambitious, like crazy thing that's going to take them 10 goddamn years, I think that puts them in danger of being shut down.
Yeah, you're right. They need to get something out, ship it, and show that they still have that creative flair to them. Because that's kind of what's kept them around, is that they make games that are very different from the standard, standard type of game we get, or standard status quo. So I'd like to just to see what they have and get it out there and find out. But I do have concerns that, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know. The way Sony has moved at times, which is mostly with the live service stuff, it's not looking right. We're going to cancel. We're going to restart development for some of these studios. They'll do something else, or we'll just get rid of the studio. I don't know. Media Molecule, to me, looks a little shaky. A little bit.
Well, that's the ironic thing, right? Is that if they are in a position where they feel like, oh, our next pitch should be a live service thing, I think that's where you completely lost the plot. Because I think what Media Molecule should be doing is going back to like a Tearaway project. Like, let this studio be, similar to like a Team Asobi. Like, let them put out something that is different, quirky, unique, and it's going to pull awards. Asahi still values that. I know it's easy to joke all day, every day about live service. The reason why they keep a Media Molecule around is because of how world-renowned they are. And they pull Game of the Year awards. They did, at least, But with this leadership gone, there's a question of what the studio culture looks like now and how they'll be led into a new game. So that is what remains to be seen.
Let him go make something weird like the Sword of the Sea or something, like this game I'm playing. Like, let him go do something artsy and like out there.
For sure. I'd love to see it. Would love to see it. All right, John, we have Sony's F1 or Q1 FY 2025 report from April to June. A lot of numbers to go over here, John. Some boring number crunching. You want to get into that? Sony shipped 2.5 million PS5 consoles. That is slightly up from 2.4 million year over year. So that's a worldwide total of 80.3 million consoles. They're around 2 million consoles behind PS4 on a launch line basis. The digital software ratio hit a new peak, reaching 83%. That's up 80% year over year. And monthly active users were 123 million, up from 116 million year over year. Sales are up 8% due to non-first party games, add-on content, and sales from network services. And operating income saw a 127% increase for all the same reasons. $1 billion. Crazy.
Yep.
Big record. FY 2025 forecast is flat for sales, but operating income was revised 4% upwards, with one of the negatives there being an impact of a delay in launch timing of a first-party game. They don't say that, but it's probably Marathon. That's what that game is. As for tariff impacts, so Asahi and, well, notably the Sony group does like to talk about this during the fiscal reports.
It's good that you're mentioning this now, actually.
Yes, we do have an adjacent story about this. They did have a slight downward revision as far as the tariff impact, which is actually good. So for the entire organization, they're expecting to see a 30 billion yen decrease for FY 2025 based on the rates announced August 1st, which that's also very important to clarify. As of August 1st, these things are always changing. So just based on that, it could always change. But they also went out of their way to claim that they've nearly completed diversifying the production location of their main products by the end of this quarter. And they should complete all of that by the first half of this fiscal year. So they don't clarify exact products here, but when they say main products, and that's for the entire Sony group, and PlayStation's like damn near half of the Sony group, you would think that means PlayStation 5 consoles, which it pretty much is. So they're diversifying the production locations for PS5, which means they're already sort of mitigating the tariffs the best that they possibly can. But there's percentages on all the other locations outside of China. So they're just mitigating they're getting it down as low as they can. It's not to say that they're completely avoiding them, right? And then accessories, right, they'll have that done by the first half of this fiscal year. So, I mean, do you want to comment anything about these numbers before we get into what they announced recently? Or,
I mean, they increased with the PlayStation 5 like number of units sold, but I saw that operating revenue $1 billion. Income. I was like, wow, really $1 billion? And then I see what it mostly came from, and it was like, yeah, people really like those Fortnite microtransactions. And I was like, wow, okay. Sheesh. I mean, that and the subscription stuff with like PlayStation Plus, that's highly profitable for them as well. It's interesting that in a quarter where they really didn't have to do a lot first party wise, they make a ton of money. So the one thing that kind of irks me about that is it does sort of incentivize them to sit back a little bit and be like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to collect the software. The games don't have to necessarily, I don't want to say be rushed, kind of that urgency of like, man, we gotta get going. It's like, no, we're good. Like, we're just going to kind of hang out. I mean, Ghost Yotei's coming up, but I think I like the companies when they do have that sense of peril and urgency in front of them. I think I like it a little more like that. I kind of want these companies to always feel like they're in some sort of inherent danger with finances, because that's usually when I feel like we get the best out of them. And I don't want to say they kind of become complacent, but man, that is a lot of money to be given because something like Fortnite or Warzone or whatever else exists on your platform.
Right. And you do make a good point to mention that PS5 consoles saw a slight increase year over year. That's kind of it's against the decay curve that we typically expect. Right. And we're like still waiting for like, what is this going to look like when GTA 6 launches?
Oh, I will bring this up. Do you think that has anything to do with the fact that Xbox went up in price by so much months before Sony did? We're going to talk about soon. Do you think there's that like in between period where this happens and they're looking around, people are like, maybe I'll get the PlayStation instead?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe. I mean,
it's a slight uptick, but it's enough to notice,
Yeah, I mean, it's like what we're talking about, a few 100,000, and that's assuming like it would have obviously been less than 2.4 million. 2.4 is what they did last year. It's 2.5 here. It should have went down. Now it's just slightly up. I mean, I think plausibly that might have happened. The issue is like Xbox hardware has been down 3 years in a row. And they're like double digit decline. So like they were already kind of like going down that path anyway. But what I find, so just to note here before we get to the price increase, they're 2 million behind PS4. That's pretty negligible when like the console has not dropped in price. So that's just as far to keep in context for hardware and how well they're doing with selling PS5s and having that install base be very similar to PS4. It's about the same as PS4 with a $500 box, basically. $400 one was at launch, which, mind you, at launch, the digital and disc split was like favoring disc console. They were primarily selling disc consoles. So the average selling price was definitely like $400 something plus dollars. But all good things must come to an end. So this was confirmed very recently. It's in effect right now. PS5s have finally gone up in price in the US. It's $50 across the board, so every console. Disc is $550. Digital edition is $500 now. And PS5 Pro as well, up to $750. And Sony on the PlayStation blog says, and I quote, similar to many global businesses, we continue to navigate a challenging economic environment. As a result, we've made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price for PlayStation 5 consoles in the US. John, if you recall, back in May, they did say we have a 3-month stockpile in the US.
Yep. There it is.
There it is.
The math is mathing. Yep.
The math is mathing.
Man, that's I mean, everyone a lot of people figured it would happen eventually, just based on how things were going with like the world economics. And I know there's a lot of vague statements. What did they say? Did they say challenging economic times? What did they say?
I mean, put whatever spin you want on it. It would have had
you know how it goes. They try to use some kind of lingo or terminology without just pointing to exactly what it is. It's very rare they do that. Although they were pretty transparent with the effect of tariffs on their business. So when I saw that the last outing with their investors, and they still came up with a number of like $680 million. When I heard that, I said, well, they're not gonna take that cost. There's no way Sony's doing that, just because the way the business is run. They're like, we're not taking that money. We're gonna get it back somehow. And look, they've raised prices elsewhere due to currency exchange rate inflation, and they've raised prices of their subscription. They've done things outside of just raising the console, and it seems like they've been doing it to try to mitigate the idea of this. And now they've gotten to the point where now they're just raising the prices, and that's it. And it's super weird, isn't it? Like, because we're older, we remember the generations, how it's been up to this point. Even with the last one, with the PS4 and the Xbox One, they went down in price, as it went along, or they got replaced by a better system at the same price. That's like if the PS5 Pro came in and was $500 and the PS5 went to $400, or something like that, like the disc-based one. But now it's like, no, the prices, we made the right decision buying day one, apparently. If you bought that digital PS5 at $400, wow, 25% on your investment.
You know what I was thinking? Your investment. You know what I was thinking, John? I was like, this would have been actually last year, holiday season. That was the time to buy a PlayStation 5. Dude, new consoles were $375 for disc. And then digital was $350. You remember those promotions? That was new. $375.
My parents bought Amazon. We bought consoles. That's all.
So you could have got in holiday 2024, which doesn't feel like it was that long ago. No. $375 for a disc console. That same console is $550. So the thing with consoles, right? It's weird. It's like kind of like these both scenarios at play here, right? Sony could easily just subsidize, take some losses on hardware, which is what they used to do. Now the marketplace is kind of in this position where like consumers will just pay more for things, and that's literally proven by the point I just made with like a launch line basis. It's only 2 million behind PS4. That's negligible. People are willing to spend more. Obviously, there's inflation to consider. There's average pay that people still are not seeing to rise with inflation. But even despite all those things, there's the install base is still doing fine. So people generally are just paying more for these products, and that's just the way it is. The other angle of it is that because they know that, they can sort of get away with simply charging more, not subsidizing if they don't have to. In this case, though, I will say the digital edition was losing money. I think it was always losing money. As far as I remember, it was always losing money. That's why it saw a $50 price increase before this price increase, even in the US. And now it's up to $500. I think it was always losing money. The disc console became profitable after a little bit. I think they went underwater on it when like the whole chip shortage and that crazy nonsense was going on throughout, the past.
It's like materials costs went up.
Material. Yeah. I think it went underwater, and tariffs obviously exasperated that issue at this point. And then the Pro was always profitable. We all kind of like assumed like, damn, 700 is insane. They want to make money on this thing right away. And I think that's indicative here of 50 on top of on top of 700 is them saying we still want to make more money on this thing.
Right. That's the one I saw, and I was like, ooh, really? They're going up with the Pro. I thought there was wiggle room for that one, but you're right. They probably didn't even want to make it if they weren't going to make money on it.
Yeah.
But that is the one that felt egregious, was that. This was the Pro. It's like, really? We got to go to 750 for that without the disk drive? So technically then we're at 830. Do we have to? That's
the thing, right? Like the whole point of the Pro, the console inherently has to be a money driver.
Right.
So it
wouldn't exist otherwise. Yeah.
That's probably what's going on there. It sucks. Life's expensive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So outside of just gaming, if you look around, man, everything is like so expensive. I already told you the thing of going up and getting mints, and they were like, the person was like, wow, there's like 3 something for a pack of Tic Tacs. And it's like, yeah, well, this the old days 4 years ago or something. It is crazy that people in 10 or 15 years in we'll say in high school, are going to learn about the 2019 and 2020 situation with the pandemic and stuff, how much that just changed everything. And now we're seeing the results of inflation, because we see it in our pricing. Like, I usually buy the same thing when I'm kind of boring with that grocery store and shopping. I usually buy the same stuff. So I'm able to like track through egg prices and egg whites and stuff pretty easily, because I'm buying it all the time. So people are always complaining about it. I could have had a chart of my receipts, and that would have given me the best indication of like where we were with money and like inflation and stuff. But I was noticing it a lot in food prices, just constantly fluctuating, but always staying a little higher, every other month or something.
John, right now, a double Whopper combo is $12.89.
Whoa! Where are we? What is going on here?
We went backwards, John. I'm saying is we went backwards.
I'm trying to remember last time I had Burger King. Last time I had Burger King, man, that might have been like 20. Oh my gosh, that might have been like 2011 or 2012, right? I'm not even messing around, because one of the old stores I worked at, we had a Burger King in the shopping center. Yeah, they definitely had Whopper Juniors, and it was like 2 for $5 or something.
Double quarter pounder meal is $12.59 in my area. $12.59.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
What happened to the dollar menu? Menu?
You're right. Because I'm looking at these premium combos. Hold on, let me pull up the value menu here.
I need that dollar menu to make a comeback. That was crazy. You went in there and it was like they had like the fillet of fish was just $1. The double cheeseburger was $1. Man, those are crazy times.
Well, a cheeseburger is $1.99. A double cheeseburger is $3.99. A hamburger is $1.89. Just a basic.
The hamburger, they didn't give you the cheese. It's $1.89.
You know you can't get cheese. It's $1.89.
You know how much? I will tell you how much a McDonald's hamburger was, and this is the pre-digital menu era. You remember when they had slides and they had to like put the numbers up there? Yeah, we're going that far back. The hamburger was 79 cents. And I will never forget that. I don't know why, but it's like ingrained in my mind. It was 79 cents back then.
Well, now we're not. I mean, we're talking like items under $1. Like that's the Taco Bell. What was it? 79, 89, 99. Yeah. That shit was tight, John. That was good.
I don't even know what Taco Bell costs now. I remember Taco Bell when I was younger, and we're kind of poor mostly. We looked at Taco Bell as kind of, I'm not even kidding. We looked at Taco Bell as kind of like the premium fast food. It's like the one you go to like once a year or something if you did good on the report card. It was
right?
Yeah, dude. It was
shit.
My old neighbor was crazy. People would never believe like the place I grew up in. But dude,
like a good birthday dinner to me was like going into a Pizza Hut for like the buffet and like the red cups.
We were only allowed to look at we were allowed to look at the newspaper clippings for Pizza Hut. That was about it.
You're allowed to look at them.
A friend at school was getting that Pizza Hut birthday party. Just make sure you're nice to them that week. You just made sure you were nice to them.
all I'm saying, John, is the other day I went to a grocery store and I wanted to try this Dubai chocolate craze. I saw a Dubai chocolate bar, and without thinking, I grabbed it. I grabbed it because I'm like, this is a chocolate bar. This is a chocolate bar, John. Now I get it. Dubai chocolate, fancy. It's the new hip thing. Apparently, it's a pain in the ass to make. I get it. But I go to checkout, and that son of a bitch was $10.
For the chocolate bar?
Chocolate bar.
What? Did it have like specks of gold in there or something? Like $10.
Now look, I'll admit, it was perhaps one of the best fucking things I ever tasted in my
goddamn
life. Of course I did. I'm not gonna put it back. I'm not gonna put it back. It's delicious, John. The shit was so good. It was so good. And I did buy a second one, but that's not the point. All right.
You're the statistic that says we'll pay more.
That's good, dude. It was so good. Sometimes I get a sweet tooth, man. I get a sweat tooth.
Okay.
Ben
says he used to do fast food.
Ben's right.
Really?
Dude, like 10 years ago, that was like this was in my pill-brained head. I was like, oh, this is a good Patreon benefit. I'll review fast food only for Patreon supporters. They used to have, dude.
Best food
Now,
review.
hold on. He unlocked a core memory for me. Burger King used to have. They were called mac and Cheetos. It was a deep fried like Cheeto, but inside the Cheetos, macaroni and cheese.
What?
Mac and Cheetos. They were good. It was good.
I'm sure there's a whole like list of crazy things that McDonald's and Burger King and I don't know, KFC have tried, and they were around for like a month and no one remembers them.
Oh, well,
that's a whole video right there.
Yeah, me and Aunt Dude always share like pictures of like when we go to try out like fast food gimmicks, we just text them to each other. I'm like, I'm trying this today. That's our thing.
Oh, video series right there. I tune in for
that. We're trying to spin up like a food podcast or something. We're trying to get that off the ground. He's dragging his ass though. Yeah.
Jeez. What were we talking about? The PlayStation 5 price? You know what I miss from these companies with when it came to this was the creativity to try to either keep the price the same or lower it to where, remember we got the PS3 that had 12 gigabytes on board?
That was like one of the last models they shipped.
I want something like
Super
that.
Slim?
Like, yeah, come up with something weird and stupid to get the price either lower or the same. I want like weird stuff like that.
So you want like a gimped PS5 to come out? Like here's a new system.
When Nintendo did the Wii Mini and they removed everything about it and released it $100 with Mario Kart.
Right. So
dumb like that.
Late life cycle PS5 model comes out, affordable edition, right? So it comes out, you get 200 gigs of onboard memory. You can install probably just Call of Duty Warzone, and that's kind of it.
I think you can do 500 gig, right? They can do 500.
Okay, so you're telling me late life cycle PS3, they're shipping what, 160, 250 gig models, going down to 12?
No, it has to be some weird number. It has to be like 463 or something for some reason. 463 gigabytes. I
think like you do like the 216 or whatever it has to evenly divide by. Like, yeah, 256. 256, yeah, exactly. Actually, that'd be perfect. 256 gigs onboard memory. It can still like obviously accept external drives or something, but you only get one USB-C, one USB-A in the back. And then it's always in low power mode.
And a wired
the new low powered mode that comes out. It's always in low power mode.
Low power mode. They can just take a lot of their bin chips and put them in there.
And they can charge $299 for it.
$299.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound
That's
even
what I miss. Are just those systems that came out and were gimped like crazy to get the price down, and or just creativity in general to try to get the price either the same or down further.
Yeah, 12 gig PS3, PSP Street, which we never got in the West. We never got the PSP Street. E1000
stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. Come up with weird ways to keep the price lower. And sure, it's a lesser than system in the sense of the capabilities, but some people don't necessarily care about all the other stuff that, like the Wii Mini was popular for kids because you didn't have Wi-Fi and the parents didn't want the kids going online anyway. So,
well, that's a crazy thing though. You could not ship a PS5 that has no Wi-Fi because realistically, that thing is kind of like pretty. And this is me saying this in despite of how there's still like the vast majority of games can be installed and played offline, but that's still like really gimping a PS5.
We need a system update anyway. You
would ship the most latest software on it.
Well, yeah, but you need to pair that. If you pair the disk drive with it, you need to you need the online connection check-in.
Well, then they'll have to start shipping system software updates on the discs, which I think they do. Most people never find that though because they always are updating their PS5s. But kind of like PSP UMDs would carry system updates if you weren't connected online.
So people are really looking at this now because there are many people I'm sure who are either watching right now, listening, or just online talking about this. They already have the PS5. So like, okay, well, I already have this. So their mind immediately goes to next generation because now they're seeing the floor go up. We started at 400. That was our floor back in 2020. Now the floor is 500 for the PS5. I've seen people pitch some pretty wild prices for the PS6 right now. And I think it's because they're looking at the PS5 Pro and that price point.
Yeah.
So, the big question right now with very, very early preliminary predictions and thoughts with this news, where do we think the PS6 is coming in?
I'm still pretty firm on the idea that they just phase out the Pro So that optics thing obviously doesn't look as backwards as it would look.
Mhm.
And at this point in time, it's really hard to predict, obviously, because so many things change very rapidly. But at this point in time, I would think PS6 is 600.
That's what I think too.
And I think the bigger question is 600, and what do they do as far as multiple SKUs with or without drive? What does that look like? I think that's where it might get like there could be a SKU that's higher than that. But I think minimum for the time being, with where things stand right now, you're looking at 600.
I think it's 600, and they don't even have another version that has a disk drive. You have to actually seek the disk drive out, because I kind of feel like if it's digital only, they can also kind of pitch it to maybe investors, but like internally, as if somebody buys this system, it's digital. We already have the stats. 90% of the people aren't going to even seek the disk drive out or bother. So they were only going to buy their games from one place, and that's our digital storefront, because you can't buy a game code at Walmart or Best Buy or wherever. Everything would funnel through us from that system then. So even if we lose a little bit of money on that, we're going to make a lot more on the back end over the next 6 or 7, 8 years, even with generation.
I would think, because if we think PS6 is going to come out 2027, holiday 2027, and that's really not
gosh.
And that's
you think it's holiday 2027. Oh man.
Yeah, that's the lineup we're hearing right now. But look, man. and that's really not that far away.
It isn't. It's 2 years.
Even though the software ratio is like what that hit a new peak 83%. So don't get me wrong, the ratio is big. We still, as of a year or two ago, have a handful of first party games that the ratio is quite high for digital or physical, more so than you would think. And also at retail right now, the last figure that we do have is that it's like down the middle. Half consoles sold are digital only, the other half is disc. So, a lot changes in 2 years, but I would think with 2 years from now, and we're like a down the middle ratio, I would think we'll still have a drive, that at least one SKU that has a drive.
Okay.
That would be the more premium one, I would think. But
okay.
I also sincerely hope I'm right about that, and I hope you're wrong.
I just don't. I feel like Sony's going to look at that as, well, do we still want this thing to even really be relevant 7 years from 2027 and 2034? Like, do we think digital is not going to have overtaken everything by then? So I don't know. The digital disc unit stuff, I'd be a little concerned for the collectors out there for next gen. Little concerned.
Well, I think there's definitely a due diligence to at least offer that disc secondary, if it's not like minimum, because you'd have people that have a library of 4 and 5 discs. So it would be at the very minimum compliant enough to allow people to play existing games, if it's not, minimum for 6.
I think the other thing is, I kind of feel like it's not even going to be built in like we have the disk drive now, because that does compromise the design a bit. I kind of like the system. Look, I know we like the disk drive because we have all these games and stuff. The system looks better without the disk drive.
Let's clarify, John. The Slim looks better without the disk drive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Slim does. Yeah.
I think the Fat looks very nice with its little rump, because it's smooth.
Being nice to it. You're being nice
to
it.
No, it's a smooth rump. For some reason, the Slim has like a BBL. It just doesn't look right.
It's like they didn't care. That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, but it swoops out. It doesn't ergonomically. It looks so much better when it's more of a swoopy like design line going down.
Right.
Like there's a curve to it. You might like you get a sense of wanting to spank it. The Slim, I see that and I go, that doesn't really look right. It looks aftermarket. And so, that's, if we're talking about product design, like that's sort of where I sit on that. You want to move on to another story?
Yeah, it's fine. Let me grab some of these the chats here. Tylee says we need Astro, Sly, Jack, and Ratchet Lego sets.
Yes, we do.
Victor says Lost Soul aside and MGS3 remake this month. Yeah, the next week. Back to back. Boom, boom. Silent Hill F next month. Then Ninja Gaiden 4 in October. Boys, we are eating good these upcoming weeks. Yeah, next week's gonna be crazy. Reviews for MGS3 should be up tomorrow.
Oh, the embargo's tomorrow.
I believe so. Yes, I think it's the 22nd.
Okay.
So I'll be curious to see how that does. I'm already on board with it. I'm picking it up once it drops. But then Lost Soul aside, I'm curious about too. So it's like, man, there's not enough time. Games are dropping everywhere.
Indeed, they are.
Space Samurai says I need to buy the PS All Stars DLC characters.
I think they're still up there for $5 a pop.
Zuck says, following up on those OPM demo discs, have either of you looked into doing content on the PS2 HDD supported games and those DLC discs? It took a lot of effort to play SOCOM DLC maps back in 2004.
John, you haven't done that yet?
I have not.
No. Seems like something you probably would have knocked out like 2 years ago.
OPM demo disc. I do have a PS2 with a hard drive and everything.
Yeah.
Hits Overhype says, no Resistance, Astrobot, no Helldivers crossover, games removed from PlayStation Play. Ryan, does Sony hate the Resistance series?
No, they don't want to greenlight another one. So, but here's the thing: so overhype. The point I always make about PlayStation is that they put franchises down. It's not just a Resistance thing. That's historically what PlayStation does. They don't dwell on series for that long outside of your Gran Turismo or God of War. Typically, they let the studios put things down and move on to something else.
Victor says, I hope Kojima's next game, OD, the PT-inspired horror game, will come to PS5 as Microsoft is now more willing to put all their games everywhere.
That's a good point. I don't think I've actually ever considered that. Like, yeah, OD probably would come over, you would think.
I think so. It's probably timed exclusive, and it's tied into Microsoft's cloud servers because originally it's going to be made for Stadia. So we got to see how intricate it really is there, because I don't know, that might affect some of the porting process. So
yeah.
RDX says no Xbox ROG Ally X pre-order. So disappointed. I thought it was $10,000. It's the pre-order placeholder. Yeah. It was funny when it came up. Someone was like, man, tariffs really going crazy. It was like $10,000.
Oh, it was listed as 10,000. I thought it was the price went up to like $999, but there was a listing for 10,000.
It was $9,999, and then they put 99 cents.
Oh, okay.
It was on Best Buy. It's just like the placeholder price. It was just funny. Like somebody just put maximum value into the back end of the sales site. So that was kind of funny.
Nice.
Okay. Well, what else we got, Ryan?
We're still on the financial report, actually, because we do have to mention that Sony talked about their live service revenue, John. And this might be a little bit eye-opening to you as well, because Sony says that their live service revenue from MLB The Show, Destiny 2, and Helldivers 2 contributed more than 40% of their first-party revenue during the quarter. So just to illustrate that, Sony, who has so far had an awful track record with their live service investment and output, despite that, their 3 games that they have ongoing right now are contributing to 40%. Which the CFO Lin Tao did say that, like, the prior quarter, it was more like, I think 30%, but this quarter was like 40% just for those games. Now, obviously, that also relates to the dearth of like single player content coming out. Then it would be, differently skewed. But this is the importance of live service games, is that these games are continually generating revenue during what might be a down quarter. And you would think Sony's doing awful with live service, but just 3 games alone is already doing quite a lot. And also during
the quarter was
this would have been
right.
Yes, this would have been from April to June.
Okay, and that's MLB The Show is in there.
It is.
Yes, I think that's probably a large majority of the revenue.
But again, the quarter prior was 30%.
Right. I think that's why it jumped so much, because MLB The Show, and I actually, out of the 3, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what brought in the majority of the money out of the 3. Yeah. Because it's baseball season, and look at the games. That one is on the most systems. It's even on the Switch.
But that's why arguably I think the previous quarter was 30%. Like, it definitely helped, but 30 is nothing to bark at either. And that's also during the Q&A portion, the CFO did respond to a question about Marathon. Saying that they do expect it to launch this fiscal year. So that would be before April 2026. But she also said that's not a commitment. So just letting people know, we think it's going to happen.
A little concerning in there, didn't she, about like the possibility that could be canceled? She didn't seem super confident that it wasn't not going to be canceled. It was the way that they said it was like, why did you say that?
Well, it's like she went out of her way to say, like, that's not a commitment. we think it is going to be this fiscal year, but we're not committing to that. I think there's definitely like an option on the table here for what they might do with that game. And so what I was alluding to earlier, so this investor also asked about the governance of Bungie. And so Lynn did confirm that they're transitioning to PlayStation Studios.
They're bringing them in. Kind of have to.
And then the following investor also asked about live service issues, which Lynn gave a very candid answer here. So she said, things have not been going smoothly, referencing things like the marathon delay and Concord from last year. They say they are learning lessons from those mistakes and making sure they introduce live service games where there's less waste and more smooth. That's how they were. It's probably a translation thing, I would imagine. But yeah. It turns out we're not. We've had some hiccups here, John.
Just a few.
It's been just a little murky. Yeah.
The Star Wars of live service didn't work out for them. I mean, that's what else are they gonna say? I mean, it hasn't been great. It's pretty obvious. Like when you have places like Bloomberg reporting on it, that does speak directly to these investors, so they're aware. They know Concord cost them a lot of money, but that's one of the reasons they lead off and say these live service games have accounted for 40% of our revenue this time, and look how successful we are. So it's kind of that idea of even if we fail a lot, if we hit some of these and we do well, it's all going to work out in the end. But man, the thing that that concerns me more than anything, it's not the money stuff, because Sony has enough money. They're not going away if they fail at a bunch of live service games, but it's still that time situation to where I think all of us, I feel like most of us, I should say, can notice the gaps from the live service issues. You can kind of feel them a bit. As like, maybe there was supposed to be a game that quarter and the live service game didn't pan out and it's not there. That's just, it's something that's noticeable. At least I feel like it is. People in the chat can let me know. It feels more noticeable now than, I mean, we're almost 5 years into the generation. And I kind of feel like if we go back to I still think if we go back to the PS3 or even the PS4, I know the PS4 really got moving in the second half, like really got moving. It just, the live service stuff, it's very clear that the focus on that took away a bit, I think, with the cancellations from probably what they would have been doing during like the PS3 or the PS4 generation.
It's tough to say, John, because if there's still those dev cycles that are just absurdly long. And it's the same hierarchy we've broken before. They acquired new studios or outsourced different studios. The ones that really sting in my book are like Ben got reset again. So Ben's, at this point. So yeah, Ben and Blue Point are the ones that really sting to me. Yeah. And arguably Media Molecule, if you want to chalk that up to like Dreams being what was intended to be a big scale live service thing. And so those are the three that sting. Naughty Dog does too, don't get me wrong. Because they had
even like the Twisted Metal,
100
like
people
that.
on that.
I feel like I don't know. Would I have ever looked Twisted Metal and been like, yeah, that bounced around to a couple places, didn't it?
Yeah. Lucid and then Fire Sprite.
But like, I don't think I ever would have looked at Twisted Metal and been like, oh, there's a live service game. Let's do it.
Right?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, I don't know. It
wouldn't be arena style in 2025.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like sometimes you can just make a video game. It doesn't have to be a platform or anything. Just make a video game.
That's a bold ask of you, John.
It sounds crazy to say that out loud. It's like make a video game, but I don't know. So it seems like it kind of fits right now. Everyone trying to make a platform. It's like, man,
what a nerd. Platforms out there. Dude wants to play video games.
Make a video game, man. Just make one.
There's one last thing from this report. This comment that came out from Sony's SVP, Sadahiko Hayakawa. They were responding to a question from the press about Sony's recently announced partnership with Bandai Namco about fan IP and expansions. His response here is like really long, but to paraphrase this whole thing, he's talking about how 60% of their consolidated revenue is from entertainment and creation. So there was a portion of what he was saying here where he said, and I quote, "In gaming business and moving away from hardware-centric business to more to the community-based engagement business, and then that has not been increasing." It's a weird, long-winded comment where the translation sounds really weird. But there was a headline of Sony's moving away from a hardware-centric business. And he said that in the context of gaming. He said in gaming business and moving away from a hardware-centric business. The weird thing is, this was a very wordy quote. If you get the whole thing in context, what this guy was saying, just to clarify for everybody, is that the way Sony historically was, they were an electronics company, like TVs, phones, laptops,
Right.
TVs, gaming. They sold
Cameras.
electronics. Yeah. But now they are more of an entertainment company. That's what he means by shifting away from a hardware-centric business. In the context of PlayStation, PS5, yes, is hardware. They're not walking away from that. But look at the numbers of what PlayStation generates, and that money comes from services, entertainment.
Right.
So I think people, of course, naturally on the internet, I don't know how this happened here, but somehow we got carried away and thought that meant they were moving away from consoles.
We did, Zach, but we ended up talking about McDonald's and Burger King dollar menu and Ryan reviewing fast food somehow.
Wow, rude. Put me on blast here, John.
Yeah, the hardware versus what they were mentioning, though, you're right, it being more of an entertainment company. That I will say that Crunchyroll investment, I feel like in the future, like 5, 6, 7 years from now, is going to look really smart on their part, because all the stuff we're talking about with inflation and everything going up in price, I do feel like subscription services are going to be looked at more like Netflix or any of these video streaming services where you can stay home and watch something on that rather than go out somewhere and spend $100 some odd at a movie theater or at a bar, wherever. Right. I do feel like that's going to be where a lot of people continue to turn to. And for Sony, if they position themselves well as that entertainment company, it will just be more profitable for them in the long run. You build a camera now, my gosh, I'd be curious to see the margins on some of their really nice camera, like the A7 III or whatever. It's $3,000. What's the margin on that thing? Because I feel like it's probably not great compared to, hey, we got so many, like millions of people signing up for on Crunchyroll and stuff. We just collect money every month.
See, I would have thought the margins on the camera stuff would be like pretty good because it's like such a low volume product.
See, I feel like it should be better than all the stuff going on right now. Again, the tariff stuff, the inflation, even attainability for some people now who might be looking for some people are just going to cell phones to record stuff because they have it or they can get it used and it's cheaper. It's being kind of that enthusiast market for Sony, especially their TVs. I kind of feel like their TVs are, I'm not gonna say struggling because they still have a name brand there and people buy them. It's not like how it was, man, when 4K broke onto the scene and everyone was trying to get a 4K set. I think a lot of people have a TV and they're kind of good for a while. They don't feel like, oh, I got to get that 8K set now.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, how do you feel about your TV right now?
I have no need to. Yeah, I feel very happy with it.
I just got this one right here, the C5, right?
Yeah, so I've got a C2. The C2 alone, I've been super happy with.
Yeah, I had this up here. I had the Sony. It's like 2019 or something. It was like an A8 OLED. I got it a while ago, and I've been holding off, and I've been looking. And the C5, basically every time they've gone up a number, they've just slightly increased the brightness, and now it's gotten to almost 1100 nits. And I'm like, okay, I'll get it now. But I wasn't. But I never felt like I gotta get it. I was waiting for it to get to a certain level to where it was almost like that G3 kind of stat level. But the C series is very good for gaming. So that was why I was looking at it. But I still, every year, I didn't feel the pull of, oh, maybe it's, it's fine. It's close enough. It's like, I'll wait. And then finally I picked it up, but it was just, back in the day, I feel like I was just much more interested in the TVs that were coming out every year than I am now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I went through 4 or 5 TVs, like from PS3 to PS4, basically. And since I've gotten, from PS5 onward, I'm like, the C2 is fine. It's totally fine. I've got high refresh, and that's all I need at this point in time.
But even with this one, I waited till I found a deal because it's not even like the C6 will probably be out in a couple months. Now I picked this one up. I was waiting for a deal to pop up online. Eventually, it showed up on eBay. I was like, oh wow, it's 40% off. Now's the time to make the move. So
that's the issue with selling like electronics. It's a one-time thing.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. Whereas that subscription, the money keeps coming through. So
that Crunchyroll acquisition is probably I think that was probably one of the smartest things I could have done. All right, so we got a lot of game news. Let's start talking about some actual video games, which is sort of a
video game
concept here. Yeah. John, I want to rant a little bit. So I did include this news story here. Gears of War Reloaded is looking like it's not fully on the disc. It's not on the disc, John. This was reported by PPE.pl. They received images of a physical EU PS5 disc, and it does require a download. 64 gigabyte minimum is listed on the back of the disc. So now this game joins Doom: The Dark Ages, Indiana Jones, and there is still no Forza Horizon disc. God, Microsoft.
There's a bit of a wrinkle in the story, Ryan. There's some images got out there about the NTSC version, and that language is not on the front.
So I think that's the difference, right? It's the EU print.
We don't know yet. Issue. That's the thing. It's still up in the air. Still a mystery.
But that's the weird, like, it drives me up a wall. It really does.
I know.
Guys, knock it off.
It shouldn't be a question because you have access to the 100 gigabyte Blu-ray on the PS5. I know it's not there for the Xbox. They're stuck at 50 gigabytes to my understanding. But the 100 gigabyte Blu-ray, I don't know what the cost is on it, but it's still there. You can put the entire 70 gigabyte. I think that's how big Gears of War Reloaded is. You can put it on the disc. It's fine.
64 minimum.
There you go.
And that's the other weird thing is like it's mandatory to ship a PS5 game on a UHD.
Oh, there you go.
Because there's comparables with the Switch 2 keycard thing, but the difference here is it doesn't have to be that way. It's mandatory to ship a 100 gigabyte disc. And they're just actively choosing based on the publishing timeline and sending it to print to not wait for a proper gold master. I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like at this point, if it has to come down to launch the game digitally and then go for a more boutique physical print,
right?
Just do that. Knock it off. Print the full gold master, Microsoft.
Yeah, especially for this one. It's coming out next week. And you could do it digitally and then have a disc on store shelves by the holidays.
Yes.
Just do that. That makes more sense anyway. Have something there for the gift giving.
A single Blu-ray or a single UHD Blu-ray is like $6-7. It's a little bit more than I think most people think, but like no matter what, they're paying for that. This is not a Switch 2 64 gig, super expensive, or the cheaper keycard thing. No matter what, you're buying the UHD. As a vendor, you have to ship a UHD Blu-ray on PS5. Yes. Put the full game on there. Knock it off, Microsoft. Ugh.
They're going to do it again.
I know. I know. There's been a number of live service games, though, John, that are finally shutting down their PS4 versions. Genshin Impact is going to discontinue their PS4 version. This was announced by Helldivers. It's going to be delisted on September 9th, and then February 24th, 2026, they're going to turn off in-game purchases, and then April 7th, they're going to support the game, or they're going to cut off support for the game, and players will not be able to log in. Helldivers says it's due to limitations in hardware performance and application size. And then the week after, we heard that PlayerUnknown's Battleground for PS4 is also shutting down. So they mentioned technical concerns as one reason, but the tipping point is also PS5's install base is now mature enough. So the PS4 version is going to end on November 13th, and then after that, they'll encourage players to move over to the new PS5 version, which on PS5 you'll get improved visuals, stable frame rates. Base PS5 on their site, they listed it as 1440p 60 FPS, and then PS5 Pro is a dynamic 4K at 60 FPS. And there was also an opinion piece from Rob Fahey over on GamesIndustry.biz about PlayStation's current position, and Rob had noted that many publishers right now are eyeing up timelines on dropping PS4. If they do have an existing service game or online game on PS4, they are eyeing up that timeline and looking to pull the plug. Is it time, John? Do you think it's time?
I think it is. I think 2026 should be the last year of the PS4. I think it's why? Because in 2027, we're going to be talking about the PS6. I'm sorry. I can't do this thing where the PS6 is being talked about and even shown, and the PS4 is still rolling along. That would be great. That'd be madness to me to even have that, because the PS3 store, I figure, might still be up. Maybe.
Did it make you mad when Pro Evolution Soccer came out on PS2 in like 2016 or something?
Every day. Every day. I had a hard time sleeping back then with that because of that.
I'll tell you, I actually am a little bit surprised by this story. I don't know. I feel like there should be like enough there to do it for like another year or two for these games. I don't know. Like there's mobile versions, right? Like, is it really that much of a technical hurdle? I don't know. Like I'm surprised that there's not enough of a player base there for the resources to work out in that area, you know?
What if it just has to do with the mechanical hard drives at this point?
Maybe. The drives might be like definitely the biggest issue.
Yeah, I mean, they ship with 5400 RPM drives that are, I mean, just slow. I think you got to do a lot of stuff around that in the game to like figure out loading in, and they probably get to a position where they go, I'm sure they have the stats too, and they look at it and they go, are enough people playing on the PS4 for us to really be doing all this work? Because there's a time and cost measure with that, and they're probably thinking, well, if we cut off here, the people who do have PS4, maybe they will figure out a way to get a PS5, or they'll go to a PC, or they'll pick up their cell phone or something. So eventually the PS4 will have to be retired. And it's still crazy to me that it's gone. I mean, I think it's going to go 13 years. That's crazy.
I think one too.
That's insane. 13 years.
Well, that's the thing is, I just find it noteworthy that like, I feel like PS4's legacy years are going to look perhaps worse than PlayStation 3's. Because, I check in on this with PS3 every year. I do PS3 online. And what's so cool about those games is that, like, that was during a time where, like, everything's complete on disc, generally speaking. But you can still pull patches from PSN. But there's, like, they were all arena-based games. Like, private servers will bring those games back up.
Good days.
And now you've got this weird, complicated thing of, like, there's no disc prints for these games. So they're, like, purely digital. They're pulled. Like, the license is gone. You would have had to have downloaded it at the time. And then there has to be a snapshot build, and maybe like packet captures get a little bit more complex. I think about PS4's legacy years, and I think it might be uglier to navigate versus like PlayStation 3, for example.
You're going to have to load up Genshin Impact before it goes away on the PS4, get some footage for the archive.
Gonna have to download it, yeah.
For the archive, man. Get the base PS4 out. None of this PS4 Pro stuff. I need that 2013.
That's my right there, for video watchers, that is my launch PS4 right there in that corner.
Oh, okay.
2013 launch PS4.
Come on down. Let's get that thing hooked up.
Come on down. We had this new game announced, Wu Chi, the Wayfarer, announced for PC and consoles. This trailer kind of caught a lot of attention. A cinematic teaser trailer from Lorevault Studios, published by Nexon. This game is based on Korean folklore. This person uses like sorcery and magic, so that's kind of what this game is going to be. And the game is described as a blockbuster action game, and it will also feature the soundtrack from the composer of Parasite as well. Yet again, another game out of China, big AAA, kind of out of nowhere, really surprises people. And it's another like Wu game, Wukong, Wu Chi. We've got a handful of these games coming out now, but it's crazy how much like big AAA single player games are coming out of China nowadays. I almost feel like Wukong came out, and then just a bunch of like investors were like, "Oh, wait a minute, we have something here." Historically, all those developers were just doing like PC and mobile gacha.
Yeah,
games.
I noticed that. So that must have been the thing that set the influence here.
Yeah, it's like all these console games now are AAA single player games. It's very different.
I don't mind it. It's a cinematic trailer, so you can only pull so much from it.
That's the thing. Yeah, you can't really get anything from this. And so like we have Wu Chi, Where Winds Meet recently got a release date trailer. That's another PS5 console exclusive. That's an open world action RPG. Another game out of China that's coming out November 14th of this year. I almost feel like some of these games are kind of bleeding together. Like it's
a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit. So that one's coming out this year. And this is getting into more of the Gamescom stuff. Triangle Strategy Shadow dropped on PS5 recently. So that was previously a Switch and PC exclusive, out now on PS5 for anybody looking to play that. These are not Gamescom items, but I thought we'd mention these real quick. So MGS Delta, we do know that the Fox Hunt mode that is coming after the fact. I think we all kind of picked up on that, but
yeah, still kind of a shame, but
coming out later in the fall. What's weird though, John, it's not going to be crossplay.
That threw me through a loop a bit. I don't know what that's about.
It's weird too, because in the last few years, that has become the standard. And it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, although in theory, it sounds like the way you phrase it, it could be like half a decade ago. But 5 years ago, that was like not common at all. And we were still like just getting out of the end of like Sony was the one saying no to everything. And they had that cross-play parity clause. And now it's like a standard. So now it's actually kind of weird that a game doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't really understand why either. I mean, I guess when it does eventually come out in the fall, we can look over it a bit more, but it seems weird that a game like that wouldn't have PC and Xbox and PlayStation. Like, that's a game I don't even think there's a huge advantage on PC necessarily versus console. Not like a fast, twitchy first-person shooter. This is hide and seek is what they were showing it off as. So I don't really know what the deal is there, so, other than just technical stuff that they can't even really describe to us very well.
Yeah, it's weird, but it also was like such a Konami move to me. Like, of course, you guys are doing something weird like that. No crossplay, come on. Crimson Desert was delayed to Q1 2026. Pearl Abyss confirmed the news during their Q2 2025 financial earnings call. So a lot of eyes have been on that game too for how crazy big and ambitious it looks.
Yep.
But I think we all kind of expected that game still wasn't quite ready because we were pretty far along in this year and they still did not confirm a release date. And then GTA 6 will not be delayed again. Speaking with CNBC, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick was asked about his current level of conviction for the May 26th release date of GTA 6, and Strauss said his level is very, very high, obviously.
What was he going to say? He's not going to say who knows. Like,
but
I think
the question
is on the table, but
that's the question, John. Is it going to actually hit May 26th?
Oh my gosh, the game just needs to come out. We need to get to that. We need to get there. Okay, let's get this game done and out, because now you're thinking about it. We're less than a year away, of course. This game is just it's been a thing of legend for so long now. Let's get there. Let's get this game out. Also, I want to know how much it's going to cost, because that's a whole other conversation that people keep having.
That's gonna 80.
I think it's 80. Yeah. 80? I think it's 80.
Not 90.
I think they'll have special editions and all kinds of other craziness. They might have ones that have currency cards attached to it or something to get to 100. But I think the base game, if you want the single player, and then yes, the ability to go online, but it just being without a shark card access right off the bat, I think it's 80.
All right. Well, online wouldn't be until later, GTA Online. So
right.
Yeah. We have some news for Remedy. So Remedy also had a financial report come out, and we have some updates on what's going on with their games. They were disappointed with FBC Firebreak. Apparently PS5 and Series SX did the best for the player base because they launched into PS Plus Extra and Game Pass.
I did play it a bit, yeah.
You didn't like it, John?
It was really weird. Did you try it at all?
I downloaded it and I was like, I want to play this because I like the universe, and that just didn't happen.
It was really strange. There's like one of the first levels you go and you just pick up Post-it notes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a very strange game. We played a few levels of it, Nate and I did, and that was it. I was like, I think I'm good.
Wait, did you like Control though? I mean, I'm guessing you don't care for the universe then.
No, Control's fine. But it's not necessarily the universe. It felt like busy work a lot of the time in that game.
Well, I like Control a lot, so I'm waiting for that sequel, which Remedy does say. Remedy says Control 2 is on track. The team is focusing on gameplay, environments, and missions. And the studio is also in full production on the remakes for Max Payne and The Fall of Max Payne.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ready to see those.
Yeah. It'd be cool to have like a whole new generation be exposed to the Max Payne series.
You think they keep the cutscenes the same with comic book slides?
I think you have to, right?
Yeah, you have to, right? That's the thing, though. People do view that sometimes as being a cost-cutting measure, but that is like the Max Payne look and essence are those comic strips and the narration over it. Maybe they animate them slightly. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Stick to what made Max Payne like what
it was like gritty and stuff. Like the papers were all dirty and stuff kind of on the comic book. And yeah, man.
All right, let's get into some Gamescom stuff. So Gamescom opening night live. We're not going to go over everything, obviously. A ton of game announcements, but
there's 50 some odd games. I had to write them all down. It was not fun. There's a lot of games.
My attitude was I wrote down the ones that like somebody would want to hear about these. So the opening or the pre-show for opening night live. I mean, John, we got it. Bubsy 4D. Bubsy 4D announced. Coming to all consoles, PS4, PS5, developed by Fabraz and published by Atari. Atari acquired the rights to Bubsy like 2 years ago. And they were like at the time saying like, yo, give us your pitch. We're going to bring this motherfucker back.
Gosh.
And he's back. He is back, baby. Now, but here's the thing, like this is a mini PSX going to give it to you because Bubsy 3D historically nearly 30 years ago, and that was Ben Studio's first 3D PlayStation game. Yeah, Ben Studio made
Ah.
Bubsy 3D. They wear that proudly. Hey, just
I
so
don't
you
think they
know,
do.
we made Days Gone, and also we shipped a fucking terrible platformer on PS5.
So if you walk into their
day.
studio, there's a big statue of Deacon, and they're right next to him's Bubsy.
I don't know what their office looks like. Maybe he's in there. He's got to be in there somewhere. It was cool though. I saw that and I was like, oh, that's sweet. Bubsy 4D. I'll unironically be very happy to play that game. So that was the pre-show. There's a lot of things in the pre-show, but that's the only one I'm mentioning here. The actual
What?
games.
You didn't get the other one?
What other one?
The one that Densha attack?
You want me to mention that?
Have you said, dude, that if anyone ever asks me what if I had to describe a video game to someone and they were like, I just need to know what a video game is, I would show them that game. That is it, just a video game. That's it right there.
It does look goofy.
That is a video game, man.
Well,
that's what I wrote down in my notes. This is just a video game. It looks crazy.
Your note on this, it's a video game.
Dude, I mean, look at the thing. People would go, yeah, okay, yeah, it's definitely a video game. It's a bus that like skates around and like it's this weird anime aesthetic, and it looks off the wall ridiculous. It's running like 180 frames a second or something. It's crazy.
To be fair, that is something that's up my alley, but I just didn't want to like use up this much time by like discussing nearly everything here. But that is like that's right on my alley. So the opening night live opens with Call of Duty Black Ops 7 release date November 14th. How are you feeling there, John? Excited?
Which game?
Call of Duty Black Ops 7. First big announcement.
I looked at the trailer and I was just, roads were going up in the air. I have no idea what was happening. It's so far removed from what Call of Duty was originally. And look, it's gone far away from that as it is. So this isn't necessarily new. The one thing that I did like about it is that they decided to diversify the settings by quite a bit, and probably leaning into this almost supernatural kind of effect to where they were in Alaska, then they were in Tokyo, and they're just jumping around the world. Okay. And there was a 4-player campaign co-op mode. That sounds interesting too. But this just it's just Call of Duty is just weird now. I don't know what to tell you. I definitely know that Call of Duty has gone off the rails to the point where I think it's just transcended my generation now, and it's kind of just, it understands that there's a new generation coming up, and that's just what they're appealing to now. It's kind of the younger audience, teenage audience, I should say, not like young teenagers. So that's fine. There are a lot of Call of Duties I can play otherwise, but hey, Battlefield's coming up, so that's the old person war game is Battlefield.
There you go. Old people games are back.
That's about right, Bill. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Lords of the Fallen 2 was announced coming next year.
I didn't get into Lords of the Fallen 1.
No.
I don't know. Maybe because that's like kind of like a Souls game. I don't know. Am I getting Souls fatigue? Maybe.
I think some people are.
I might be.
It's fair.
I feel like 5 or 6 years ago, I'd been all over Lords of the Fallen, and I just didn't. I don't know.
Well, maybe you're done playing them, but how about watching them? Sekiro No Defeat, an anime, was announced.
Really glad the anime was at the video game show.
Oh, you'll be pumped about the Fallout trailer next.
Oh, wait till Fallout. Yep.
But I'm going in a chronological order here. So the next big thing would have been Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight.
Hey,
that looks good.
Game of the show.
This looks good.
Game of the show right here. I can't believe I'm saying this right now because it's not to dismiss Lego games, but like, dude, if we were going into Gamescom, big event, and I was like, yo, the Lego game is going to be the game of the show, you'd be like, get out of here. Come on. And I told like Sony was going to be there or something, and Microsoft was going to, I'd be like, this Lego game though, man, you said, no, get out of here. Dude, this game looks good.
Yeah. Open world Batman game. It's sick. Like, it's got all these iconic moments from like different like Batman media. I was like, oh, that's.
Did you see the fighting? It looks like it's an Arkham game.
Well, the thing about like Lego games with me is like it's very property driven. Like, I'm not gonna play every Lego game, but like if it's a property I like I'm more into it. So I think they like nailed it here. Like, yeah, for sure.
It looks great. It looks fun. Like I said, the combat looks great. They say it's open world Gotham.
Yeah,
like you just explore. They were talking about. There's some rumors around DLC with Superman as well. I saw that. So I'm into it. I like it. They say you build up a bat family. So they mention like Robin, Dick Grayson, I think Batgirl, Catwoman, all the iconic villains will be in there. It looks cool. It looks a lot different than what we've had before with Lego Batman games, which this is still kind of that younger audience, but it's like they went to the next level with the recent Star Wars game, the saga that they did recently. And this looks like still playing off of that. Let's go to the next level with these Lego games. So I like it. I'll pick it up when it drops. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Sure.
Next year.
We've got Monster Hunter Wilds cross Final Fantasy 14 online collab. That's coming for late September. New trailer for Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Game's looking good. Good gameplay showing off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those games I'm just ready to pick up. I don't even see more for
it. Season 2 trailer for the Fallout series was after that. That premieres December 17th.
I like Fallout Season 1. Did you watch it, Ryan?
One episode. I gotta go back to it.
Oh, I really liked it. It was good, but having said that, and I'm excited for Season 2. It's coming up in December. I'm gonna watch it. I didn't need to hear about it for 15 minutes.
Well, so we'll get into that towards the end of this. I think the pacing of the show is like weird. After that was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the Order of Giants expansion. That's coming September 4th and coming to Switch 2 now as well. Mm-hmm. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando got a new trailer. That's coming early 2026. Not sure if you have anything to say about that.
I guess that'll be when we review the whole show, but I mean, some of the games just blended together. Okay. I wrote down in my notes just zombie horde shooter.
Okay. So after that was NTE Neverness to Everness. That got a new trailer. That's like another PS5 console exclusive gacha game, which PS5 is like the home of like these kind of games now. Yes. There's like a handful of other ones. I didn't even write them down. Like that's one of them. You play more later. The rhythm game Unbeatable got a November 6th release date. That actually kind of looked cool.
That was pretty cool. I like to look at that game.
New story trailer for Silent Hill F featuring the English voice cast. I'm sure they did a good job. That did nothing for me. I'm playing this.
Don't need to see any more. I'm ready to buy the game. I don't need to see it.
I'm ready to buy the game. I will probably play in Japanese. Vampire. Well, again, I'm sure they did a good job. I think the vibe was killed with English voice acting.
Okay. I get it. Yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Finally, John. I know you've been waiting. You've been waiting for this release date. October.
I never got into the series. Is it good?
No, I don't.
Oh man, they called the bluff immediately.
I feel like there's like so many of these vampire games, and I know there's fans, but I don't know. I'm surprised they were able to get away with this many of them.
Yeah, I didn't really get into it. I don't know.
Age of Empires 4 was announced for PS5 coming November 4th. Another Microsoft game there. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Legacy of the Forge content is coming September 9th. Cult of the Lamb is getting a big paid expansion in early 2026. Ghost of Yotei was after that. It got a new story trailer and confirmed the Legends mode. We'll talk about that in a second. Resident Evil Requiem then got a new trailer, like a very brief little gameplay snippet, and there is like hands-on that's out there now, so there's been press previews. And then the one more thing announcement for the show was Game Science announcing Black Myth Zhuan Kui. It's a new Black Myth game as well. How are we feeling about Gamescom?
Gamescom overall is just once again, it's just too long. It's like 2.5 hours. And if you go back through so it's not as bad if you go back through and just look at the list of games, because you're going to pick out a couple that you like. Okay, that wasn't bad. But if you sit through it all and you see everything coming up and you go, man, it's been a while. I've been sitting here a while watching a lot of stuff that I am probably going to forget about in a few days. But, I mean, that's just the reality of it. Like I said, the Lego Batman thing was really cool. It's great to have the Legends stuff for multiplayer confirmed as just free added content. Great. I like that Black Myth is now a series and that they didn't just necessarily build on Black Myth Wukong with DLC. And the reason for that, if I go back and play that game now, I'm going to spend hours just relearning it. I'd rather just start learning a new game. And Game Science is going to be a while. This is like just started development, so years probably from now. But like for the most part, there are some games I like, but it's that Jeff Keighley thing where it becomes obvious. There are definitely games that paid quite a bit of money to be there, that wouldn't have been there otherwise, I guess is the way to say it. You know, the gotcha game, some of the stuff that pops up, you're like, am I watching, I mean, they're all ads. Am I watching a trailer for like gamers, or am I watching just an advertisement that's kind of mixed in here? He's gotten pretty good at that. Jeff Keighley has, whereas before he would kind of break away. Hey, we got more after this, and then we'll just see a lot of these gotcha games in a row. He's kind of mixing them in a little bit, you know, getting a little crafty with that.
Yeah, well, definitely. It's like that weird pacing issue of like, you could tell when something is meant to have like this bigger presence, like it has the trailer, then somebody from the studio comes out, they talk about it, then they show another trailer of the same game they just talked about. But then it like has this like spitfire, like 3-4 trailers, and then Jeff comes back out again. It's like it's a weird sort of like pacing thing that they played out, which by the way, I kind of hate that pacing of trailer. Let's talk about that trailer. Here's another trailer. It's like 5+ minutes on stage, upwards of 10 minutes sometimes. Can we just like do the trailer and talk? I don't mind the talking portions, but like there's no need to go trailer, talk, trailer. It almost feels like we need to like use up that full 2-hour window. And here's how we're going to accomplish that on what is a light year. It feels like this was also a very light year. Like they clearly were not able to secure like a huge get here outside of like Requiem and Black Myth, right? It's like, what else are they going to, how are you going to fill those 2 hours?
Do you think it's because, so we have Summer Game Fest, and then a couple months later we have Gamescom, and then a couple months later we have the Game Awards. Yeah. Gamescom is in this weird spot where we just, the opening night live, it's fun to look forward to. It's like, what do they have here? But you kind of don't really need it necessarily, because you have Summer Game Fest and then the Game Awards on either side of it, to where that may be where some of the bigger announcements go anyway, to either one. Gamescom is just in this weird, like precarious kind of situation. I almost think it would be a bet. Like, so Microsoft did 2 longer streams, and they had a chance to talk about stuff, and you kind of knew what you were tuning into then. It wasn't dressed up as this, the awards show without the awards kind of thing. It's just announcements. I almost feel like Gamescom should be viewed as the trade show. And with that in mind, people play the games, people do their interviews, and you legitimately just sit down in a studio, maybe on like, he used to do this with E3, Jeff did, where he'd sit down on the couch, developers would come in, he would talk to them about their game, they'd show it off, and then after 10 or 15 minutes, the next one would come in. I almost feel like that would work better for Gamescom just because of his position and sort of the tone as a trade show.
Yeah, well, Gamescom is like the actual biggest gaming event as far as like
right
floor space and foot traffic. So yeah, it could lean more into that for sure, and not spread himself so thin on like these 3 events he's doing every year now. It's like when games have 6-7 year dev cycles, like you're going to run out of like cool things to show off,
Yes, Gamescom has always been bigger. E3 had, so Summer Game Fest you typically look at as the summer showcase, and that's kind of where E3 was. So it has kind of that expectation, whereas Gamescom, I feel like, has never really had that kind of expectation attached to it for a show like this. But now, because E3's gone, it kind of just gets that attention, because we don't have these kind of that one big event anymore. You view Summer Game Fest as an E3 light, but then you look elsewhere for more announcements or an even bigger trade show, which is Gamescom. So I think we're still also just kind of scattered with no E3. This all was just so much easier when E3 was around.
Well, the thing is too, like, I think people are starting to forget at this point, like Sony would hold Gamescom press conferences. Like when E3 was still a thing, like there was like Gamescom 2014, 13, like Sony would hold an E3 style conference, and it was just Gamescom. Sometimes they do Paris Games Week. And of course they would also do TGS, but that was also like at a time where SIA was not, they didn't incorporate like more globally, right? They didn't operate globally. Like they were very regional based. So you'd watch a Gamescom and, they would talk about Europe specific things, Europe specific hardware bundles. And that would be the same case for TGS. And now that's like long gone. So, Gamescom has kind of slipped into a more notoriety, I guess.
Saying Sony had more communication back then.
They did, because they showed up to all these trade shows, and now they don't. Now the best thing you get is like, all right, Jeff, you can confirm Legends. You can confirm Yotei will have the Legends mode. Which that in itself is news. So we did get a follow-up on the PS blog. It's same deal, pretty much. Free multiplayer component, going to be free DLC next year. It's going to offer two-player story missions and 4-player survival matches. You'll play as one of 4 character classes, and you'll be trying to defeat demonic giant versions of the Yotei sex. Because the Legends mode does lean more supernatural. So they'll still be doing that. It sounds like it's also like still kind of like a smaller multiplayer thing. Like, John, this is sort of what we keep asking for, right?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, I like it. It doesn't have to be a platform. Okay, doesn't have to be an everlasting experience that never goes away, and they have to constantly update it all the time. And we need skins and battle passes. Nope, this is good. Put the multiplayer, tack it onto the single player. That's it.
Put the multiplayer in the bag. Put it in.
Yeah. Just that's it. Just tack it onto the single player, and bug fixes and stuff as it's necessary. Maybe you want to do something fun with the community as the game sells and throw a few things in there. Great. Doesn't have to turn into the next Fortnite. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Sucker Punch has to move on to another game after this. Okay, they are a 1-game studio.
Yes, they are. I would like to move on to another single player game after this.
Yes.
So you can have some of these
get hung up on the multiplayer.
But you can have these multiplayer guys stick around like that are on staff and do another smaller multiplayer component. I'm fine with that. Just stick with the single player.
Right. That's why I want Legends to be that kind of experience, because I don't need it to turn into The Last of Us Online, where they realize after they make it that then they have to stick around and provide for it, and they can't do anything else then. So let's learn from that mistake, which I feel like they have. I think they're fine with all this. I think it's gonna be good. I look forward to it.
So, John, with that in mind, we are close to September, which means we get the usual expected PlayStation showcase, maybe a state of play, but some kind of live stream in September. So we had a rumor pop up from Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb during a recent Game S Mornings live stream. Jeff said, hey, go ahead, write the headline. I've heard about a showcase or a state of play. He thinks it's more of a state of play. Whether it's Jeff Grubb saying this or not, they have they like September pretty much every year. So whether it is a state of play or a showcase, we are at least a month away from PlayStation finally doing that communication that we so desperately look for nowadays, considering they don't do much talking nowadays. But curious what we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of things that we could see. We need some Saros gameplay. Marvel's Wolverine could get another proper reveal with some gameplay. Not sure if we'd see Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. That would probably be more of a TGA's thing if they're going to show more of that game by the end of this year. The Horizon multiplayer game needs to get shown off. There's the 2.5D God of War Metroidvania game we heard about. The not a new IP, but feels like one game from Santa Monica. Now we can expect Marvel Tokon character reveals every live stream, or also games from the China Hero, Mina Hero, India Hero projects. There are a number of things PlayStation could say. They just simply don't do it too often.
Yeah, I think for this, it would be mostly Tokyo Game Show themed would be the idea. And because that's one of the things they do in September, they'll get a lot of the partners together for State of Play. And I assume they're going to sprinkle in a couple of first party things, announcements, like you mentioned, maybe even gameplay for Saros, but they could throw a few things in there that we're also not expecting. But I mean, Tokyo Game Show is a little later this year. It's the final full week of September. It's like the 25th, and then it runs to the weekend. So I feel like Sony would want to be, I don't not right up against it. Maybe the week before, like that 15th to the 19th, somewhere in there in September. And just, you'll see a lot of stuff probably that will be playable or shown off further in marketing at Tokyo Game Show with those partners. So I figure you're going to see a lot of, like the Bandai Namco's, the Capcoms and stuff like that, maybe involved with it. But the first party thing is, I think, what a lot of us are curious about, because that's the communication, as you mentioned, we're looking for from Sony. And with Ghost of Yotei, that's coming up. We're just about through that. Intergalactic, I still think we're far enough away to where we don't necessarily need to see it at the next State of Play. I mean, for me, everything's like, what's going on with Wolverine right now? That's what my mindset is immediately. And what is Sony Santa Monica working on? Because now we're dealing with fake Facebook posts and all kinds of stuff with this thing. So I just need to know what it is now.
By the time I saw like that whole thing, like it was already like gone. Like I got to that like late. I'm like, I don't even know what this was. People are freaking out about something that wasn't even Corey's like real account or something.
But that's where we are with this. It's like, yes, if the communication is like that, you'll have a Facebook post that's sketchy looking in the first place, make headlines. Everyone's just trying to figure it out. So I think Sony Santa Monica would be cool to see show up there. Or who knows, maybe this people think another Uncharted game is showing up at some point. Maybe that's there. It really is just like anybody's guess for the most part, other than Blue Point or Ben Studio, most likely, or probably Media Molecule. You can start kind of crossing some off, but there are still some in there that we could see something. Maybe that Venom game shows up that had been talked about before.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. To your point, it would probably be a lot easier to just jot off the studios where you're like, yeah, you're not saying anything. So we probably won't see you for a while.
Fair games?
Well, based on the possible trouble the game's been seeing, who knows, John? But you're still, I know you're still like a huge Fair Game stan. I know you're a believer. I know you want to see it. You're excited, but you might have to wait a little longer.
I want to see another cool project where they've signed with like a big third party or something, and they get one of those like platform publishing exclusives or something. I just want to see some interesting crossover for like the Japanese market that they would showcase near Tokyo Game Show. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I'll tell you, XDev's always the wild card. Sometimes we just never know what XDev's up to and who they're partnering with. There is still Project Carbon that was on the XDev leak a while ago, and that was with Sumo Digital. And that XDev leak has been completely correct. Everything on there either came out or was canceled, but the one last standing thing on that list was Project Carbon at Sumo.
So here's what's going to be there. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay, here is the guess, the big one. Final Fantasy IX Remake. It's there, and they roll in a Tokyo Game Show with that. That'd be cool.
Whoa. I would love to think you're right.
If you're Sony, I think Final Fantasy IX, when it came out, was synonymous with PlayStation, and you're going to come back to the table now, like 25 years later, you got to make that happen. State of Play. I feel like you open with it, but you could, throw it. I don't think it's a close because the close would be a Sony first party, but somewhere in there. And then it also shows up Tokyo Game Show as a big thing for Square, and it comes out for the end of the year. You got to, man, Square's been stringing these Final Fantasy IX people along for so long with all this stuff. The payoff has to be here around Tokyo Game Show, and it makes sense for Sony to have it.
I like it, John. I like it. I don't know if it's happening, but I like it. You inspire hope in the community.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Oh boy. Let's move on
to the NVIDIA leak. That's because it's real. It's a thing. It's just we're trying to figure out if it's coming out.
You want to move on to some comments from our boy Shawn Leaden?
Oh, sure.
He's been doing a lot of talking, as he likes to do.
Good thing.
The former SCEA president and CEO and former chairman of Worldwide Studios, Shawn Leaden, in a piece on GamesIndustry.biz about the state of gaming, the gaming industry right now, Shawn Leaden gave some choice words about subscription services like Game Pass and putting those games on those services day one. So the underlying context of this conversation is data from Circana about consumer spending. Consumers are spending less, and generationally, they're also spending less as well. And unlike the 2008 financial crisis, where spending on games remained steady, that might not be the case in 2025 with the prevalence of subscription and free-to-play games. So Shawn Leaden said they're not a big supporter of the Netflix of gaming idea. Quote, I mean, look what happened to music. In the popular mind, music costs nothing. Music should be free. Spotify, what is that? It's $15 a month or something like that. But virtually no one buys music anymore. He goes on to say that music has an adjacent market. So things like ticket sales and concerts, performing, games don't have that. So he says, quote, the problem with gaming is all we have is launch. That's it. No one wants to pay money to come into the studio and watch people code. There's a lot of debate going on. Is Game Pass profitable? Is Game Pass not profitable? What does that mean? That's really not the question to ask anyway. And he also gave a quote about how developers turn into like slaves basically to putting out these kind of games. It's a pretty polarizing quote for sure. But what do you make of this one, John?
Yeah, his whole interview felt, to be honest, very out of touch in the current economic climate. Like he said some craziness in there. I was like, man, that seems like he's kind of, I think back to the days when I was younger and how, I don't know if you do this a lot, Ryan. Trade in games, just trying to get one game. And there was one summer where I got the Sega channel and it was the craziest. It was like insane. And it only worked maybe half the time. The other half, I'd get the red screen that was like, it's not connecting and stuff. And it was annoying. But I think back to then, and now I think about now and how awesome having a Game Pass subscription or even PlayStation Plus, you could say premium where you pay for the whole year or something. And a parent's like, whatever, this is what you get. Dude, so many games. There are tons of stuff to play, or the free-to-play stuff. It's like one of my kids found Fortnite recently. And he's playing this thing. It's free to play. You don't even need an account. You don't have to pay to play online to do it either. And it has all this stuff in there. I didn't realize Fortnite is like rhythm games. It's like a little Guitar Hero thing going on in there. They're making their own servers where I don't even know what they're playing. None of it looks like Fortnite anymore. But there's so many options to play outside of having to get your parents to buy you the new game or go to the rental store to get it. So the way he was talking about it is like everybody has to go out and buy these games day one or the industry's in trouble. And it's like the industry's been in trouble, not necessarily because of that, but just because all the other places you can spend your attention at this point. And beyond that initial like fee to get in, which might be free, didn't we just talk about Sony making like half their revenue in microtransactions, basically? Like money's coming in. The younger generation just doesn't feel necessarily tied to the $70 or even $80 game now. Because they come up in these options that your iPad might be your game system.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's the thing. That's the kind of the point he's making, though, John, is that generationally, that's the sort of the crux of the issue. It's a weird thing, right? Because there's so many conversations around how like premium a la carte games should, in theory, cost more, adjusting for inflation and this, that, and the fourth. But the other end of the spectrum there is that there's very little demand to do that. And for younger kids growing in, like when we grew up playing games, that like to us, it was like you finish a game, you get the next one. And that's just not what people are growing into now. They can just like play a subscription until the cows come home or play a free-to-play game until the cows come home. And that's fine. There's no pressure to go buy an a la carte video game. So he's just talking about like, that's like the sort of crux of the issue. When you put something in a day one on Game Pass, I mean, that's where like the conversation sort of steers towards, is that good for like, because it's always good for the customer, right? But is it good for the studio making it and taking those deals, which nowadays we've heard those Game Pass and PS Plus deals aren't nearly as lucrative as they once were. So,
well, if you put your game into Game Pass, we'll say, but then you also have these microtransactions involved with it and you're getting people into it. That's the thing with the music stuff that he's talking about. He says there's like, you just have launch. You know how many games come out now where there's all this other stuff to buy in it beyond just launch? I feel like more and more now we see games try to figure out ways just to get money after that initial purchase or download, to where I don't think it's directly comparable to Netflix. And it's not really directly comparable to Spotify or anything else. Because when you listen to a song, it doesn't stop halfway through and is like, would you like to listen to this in higher quality? Give us $1. Or would you like to have all these extra effects in the background? Give us $2. That stuff just doesn't really exist. It's so hard to compare the gaming medium to anything else because gaming is so interactive and there's so many other ways to honestly nickel and dime the person playing the game.
That's a valid point. I don't know if it was necessarily meant to be like that comparable per se, just like a sort of jumping off point of like, here's how that market looks. And it's not nearly a frame of reference that works quite to the degree that we're in with games. But I feel like it's the economic environment that we're in right now. Like there's just nothing but like every sort of scenario that we proposition here is kind of a lose-lose scenario. Like it's consumer friendly for all the free to play stuff and the subscription stuff. But at the end of the day, like even when you can monetize a game much further than what we typically could have back in the day, some games are like really struggling to find an audience. I think that's that point we made before. Like you could play 9 out of 10s all day, every day if you're just talking about a la carte stuff and never run out of stuff to play. And so at that point, like it's tough for like any game to sort of find an audience, especially in the face of subscription and free to play.
With his frame, what do you think would be in his mind? What's more damaging, do you think, the free to play or the subscription services?
That's a tough call. That's a really tough call. It's weird to like even say it as damaging, right? Because like that's the weird thing. It's like if you and me grew up with this stuff, I think we would be like eating.
Oh
But
yeah,
I would love PS Plus Extra when I was growing up. It would have been amazing.
I still use it now. That's how I get Sword of the Sea. I just went into it. I just downloaded it. I was like, oh, cool.
But like that could have very well changed the course of like our own habits, like growing up. You know, I probably wouldn't have all this shit behind me if I like was like super into subscription as a kid. Yeah, I probably wouldn't value like owning physical games.
Well,
so
when
it's that weird thing
Netflix,
of like,
do you have Netflix or anything right now?
I do, but like that's the other weird thing, right? Music and TV is consumed in a way where you can take so much more of it in on a monthly basis. Games, it's like unless you're like very time free, like time rich, you can't play a ton of games off subscription. It doesn't matter if I can download 800 games on PS Plus Extra. I don't have the time for that shit. You have to be time rich and money poor to like see like a lot of value out of subscription. But like music, of course, you can listen to how many albums on Spotify, and that would not be a problem at all. I can listen to that while I'm doing chores. It's just not the same with games. And that's the same with TV shows. You're going to get through TV shows and movies a lot more than games.
So we need to make the gaming experience more passive, like eliminate the controller. Maybe you can talk to the game while you're doing the dishes and it'll play it for you. Maybe, so now we're brainstorming.
Maybe bring back the eye toy and the PlayStation eyes.
Yeah, there you go. Now you got to pick your hands up for that. You just want to be able to talk to it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing though. Now AI is on the up and up here. We can start talking to our games.
I'll have to do that. It'll play it for you. Finally.
You know, I know Shawn gets a lot of flack. I don't know. I still find him to make interesting points, even if I don't fully agree with them. You know what I mean? But it's crazy how often he's been like this, like openly, like, you know, we should really reconsider like these subscription services.
I wonder what his take is. What do you think his take is on Claire Obscure Expedition 33?
I don't know if he's made a public comment on that game or not.
Well, I know, but this is a game that came out at $50, went into Game Pass immediately day one. So it went to the subscription service and has sold millions and millions of copies to where these people are like on top of the world. And it competes next to these AAA games this year. In fact, I mean, let's face it, right now it's the front runner for Game of the Year. But it basically goes against all the stuff he was saying.
Well, it's like those games are like few and far between. Like how often do you get a Claire Obscure?
That's the thing. And I think that's the part that he's maybe not as considering as much is the idea that, honestly, I hate to say it, but maybe games are becoming too safe, or hey, we even kind of brought it up where things are kind of blending together a bit. You know, you get that disruptor sometimes with the Claire Obscure and it starts to make you go, oh, maybe some games just need to take more chances like this, more risks, and just be creative, to be honest. I mean, I'm trying to say it somewhat nicely, but it is like, maybe don't make the space zombie game again.
Well, that's the weird thing though, too. Like if games take so long to make, you greenlight something now, and then by the time it comes out, oh shit, like 5 other studios had the same idea I had.
Right.
You know, I'm saying there's not that transparency. Like not everybody knows what the other guy's working on. And then you run into a AC Shadows next to a Yotei. Right? Like I've even seen commentary about that. It's like, oh, like Yotei looks good, but like I just did AC Shadows, and now maybe I'm not feeling this. It looks a little too similar.
I was wondering if there's just too many games coming out as well. That sounds kind of bad too, because it's like, look at all the cool choices. But when I look at Steam and there's 15 or 16,000 games that come out in a year, it's like and it keeps going up. It keeps ramping up. And we're talking about all these games coming out now. It almost is kind of overcrowded at times. I know times there are lulls, but man, when the games are releasing like back to back to back to back, you're going to make some choices. And some of the choices might just be, I'm buying one game this month because that's what I can afford. And that's kind of it, which, I mean, 2008, that was the last time he really mentioned, right? Versus now. I feel like back then people just stopped buying video games and just played their backlog or bought used games cheap.
Well, that's the point being made, though, is
You know?
that in 2008 with the financial crisis, like games were steady because it was an a la carte business and there was no saturation, to be honest. Like that's the thing. Like I think when we were like buying and playing games on PS1, PS2, like you always kind of like everything stood out because the big stuff were kind of like spread out enough and games
Mhm.
weren't like overly long. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you still put 100 hours in an FF10 on PS2, but like there's like I think Gamescom was like representative of this. Like it was like 2 hours of like all these games. I half of these things like I couldn't tell you the name of what was attached to which trailer because they all kind of blend together and look very samey. And there's just so much coming out on Steam, PSN, the eShop, and like for us, it's like I mean, this was also how you consumed gaming news. But like you get a Game Informer and you hear about the one big game next to this, like maybe 2 or 3 other big games this holiday season. You'd see
Yeah.
the commercials. There'd be like 2 or 3 big games like every quarter. But like that was kind of it. Now it's like what October has game. And they all look interesting. They all look good. But you also
Mhm.
have to be very mindful of like how much time you have and how much money you have to even play those games. I don't even know like what point we're getting at here. It's just like it's the industry's in such a weird spot as far as how many ways you can buy and consume and play games, and not everybody is a winner in that circumstance. And it's hard to stand out.
Well, I think it's also we're going to look back on this generation that we're in right now, and we're going to realize that the console market shrank. I think that's what's
Yeah,
going to happen.
I think it has because Microsoft's not really picking up their weight here on that like 250 something million consoles that are like always sort of circulating. And
Right.
Sony's only like on a launch line basis right next to PS4. And Microsoft is not launch aligned with Xbox One.
And do you think
So
Sony's going to sell more systems now that they raise the price? Like, are
well,
the units sold going to go up from here this holiday compared to when it was cheaper, like a year or two ago?
I'd definitely go down. Yeah.
I mean, GTA 6 will spike the whole thing, but like, you still have to ask the question of how much more would have sold if it stayed at the same price. Basically, when price goes up, you assume it's going to sell less units just because it's not going to work for everyone. The $50 might be honestly. They look at it and they go, "Well, okay, I'll wait." That's the thing though is so the amount of games coming out, the amount of money going into these budgets, the cost, it all keeps going up. But the user base that's supposed to be supporting all of this stuff hasn't been going up enough to keep up with it. So
Just consoles though. I mean, they are still shipping on PC.
for consoles, yes, but like I look at PC and you're right. They do at times PC is interesting because you will have that one game that shows up that people are not all aware of, but will spike, sell millions of copies. It'll have 100, 200, 300,000 current players. And I'll be honest, you look at it and you go, looks kind of like a Newgrounds game. But
You're
man,
right.
is it
Yeah,
doing well,
you're right.
It's doing well.
Well, so
So
wait,
that's the cool thing about PC is that happens, but
no, but you're right about that, right? But on the flip side, it is not uncommon to hear about like like a big AAA game that came out and the ratio favors like PS5.
yeah,
Like they sell more on PS5 over like PC. So even
yeah.
that big PC number is not necessarily like saving sales of games. And
Well,
you've
this is
got all
the
these like
console has the Madden players and stuff, like the casual players.
right, but like there's so many like established IPs that have like gotten like major sequels in the last 5 years or so, and almost all of them are underperforming.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I would think it's that saturation combined with like player time is being lost to free to play, subscription, and also other entertainment like TikTok. Like it's
I
really hard. Like it's not even so much a like build a good game thing. It's build a good game thing and then pull people away from it, like where they are.
I would say out of everything though, we talk about the free to play, we talk about the subscription. I think it is stuff like the TikTok and other forms of entertainment that don't cost you money. So kind of still free to play, but I think that is the most damaging thing right now to gaming.
Yeah.
It feels like it. That's because people do the doom scrolling or whatever, right? And it just ends up eating up all their time. Or they might be playing a game and they pick up their phone and look at it while they're playing the game. I hear that online a lot,
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. Back in the day, I hate to say it, all right. We had like flip phones or the big green Nokia phone. That's just how it was. So you really didn't have that thing happening. And I mean, we also had a point where there were load times that were the perfect times for people to look at their phones, but it just feels like it's taken over more and more now. And the younger generation coming up doesn't have the attachment to some of these long running franchises for us. Final Fantasy is one that I get more and more concerned every time they release a new one.
Well, that's exactly right. Like Final Fantasy is huge, but like at the same time, like it can't find the audience it used to have nowadays. I think arguably like Rebirth was fantastic. I think 16 was bold and different and definitely fun and inventive. And it's like they tried both things. One that was a safe, like nostalgic pick, one that was different. Like they kind of tried both avenues and they still underperformed.
Yep.
Like what does that tell you? You know?
It tells me we're getting old and the younger generation isn't buying the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox as much as we bought the PS3 and the 360.
There's a reason why I finished God of War 2 back in the day, John. It's because I ran out of minutes on my phone. Lost my credits. By prepaid little things. Every time I sent the text, it would say 0.5 deducted.
Did it really? That's funny.
That shit was crazy.
Remember when it was like, what was it, $1 for the first 20 minutes or something like that? Was it Sprint and it had like the needle that for some reason, I don't even know what was that about. It was the needle that would fall down and bounce on the commercial. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh no, if I find that commercial, for some reason, that commercial, I don't know if it's like genius branding or what, it's always stuck with me where it was like the first 20 minutes is $1 or something. And then it's really small text, 20 cents a minute after or something like that.
20 cents a minute.
Dude, it was crazy back then. I'm trying to remember what that commercial was. I feel like it was Sprint. I had to look.
I never had Sprint. I never paid attention to the commercials though either. So
it was like a famous commercial, I feel like.
Man, I had like one of the slightly off-brand like flip phones that you would like refill with minutes. Then I had T-Mobile for a few years.
Maybe it was AT&T or something. Ah, man, that's gonna bother me. No, is this it?
Knight of Cypher says the needle was a statement that you can hear a pin drop. So
I see it. You're right. It says 1-800 pin drop. You are absolutely right. Yo, good call on that. I see it right now. Call now for 200 minutes free. 1-800 pin drop makes all the sense. Sprint. Hey, good call. John. Good call. Who said that?
Knight of Cypher.
Sprint definitely had the needle. Okay, it wasn't just me. Man. That's the old people talking right now. All the olds. Dude, those are the days of the payphone and everything, man.
Payphone. Dude, I used to use a payphone when I was at the movie theater.
We had them in schools back then in high school.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I ever had them in schools, but when I would like go to the movies with friends, I would always have to bring like 50 cents because the movie theater would have a payphone. And so we'd be done and I'd call my mom. Hey, come get me.
Clay Morris says, I yell at my 8-year-old daughter every day to get off TikTok or YouTube Shorts on her iPad and instead pick up her Switch to play Yoshi or Kirby, but the Shorts content is killing kids' attention spans. It is.
Yeah.
I see it too. I had to take YouTube off the kids' Switch a couple times now.
Get back to Astrobot. Stop playing watching TikTok
now Shorts. They found Fortnite and it's all over.
And but that is inherently what it is. Like, I think we're actually like really underselling the power of TikTok. Not even so much like the company itself, just the sheer time lost to it. It is genuinely a time lost to entertainment.
It is. I have to I'm about to get out the Super Nintendo Classic or something over here and make sure they get the classics in, you know. I'll give them the PS1 Classic. Actually, no, I shouldn't do that. I'll give them the I'll give them the Super Nintendo Classic. I have it over here and they never want to play it. Kids now, I'm telling you.
Shut up, old man.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. That is what it is, though. It's like that. It really is. I'll show them. What did I show? Oh, there was a game I showed him recently. What was that? It was a 2D game. Oh, that's going to bother me. It was a 2D game I showed him. And he's like, this game looks stupid. It's like, what? Why? Because it's not 3D. I was like, oh, man, it's really like that, huh?
Tell me how you really feel.
Nah, I'll tell you.
Stupid.
It is stupid. It's like, why? It's not 3D. It's like, what? Oh, no. Not 3D.
Oh, God.
It's all over.
If you want to do more chats here, those are all the news stories I got for you before we do PSX.
All right. Well, shout out to Clayton Morris. Appreciate the message there. And then Claw117, appreciate the message saying everyone who says subs are bad, don't give alternatives, but still say the current model is bad. If everything's bad, I'll just keep doing what I was doing before. Game Pass and buying stuff I like. There you go. I do like having the subscription service around because I think they are genuinely disruptive to the market. People can look at it good or bad, but I don't mind it as much just to see how that kind of affects the market itself.
I think, again, at least for Shawn Leaden's point, it was the day one thing. I don't think he inherently mentions anything about subscription on a broader scale, but it's the sort of business model of the funding it takes to make a game and it going right into subscription.
Well, okay, so that's interesting since there are studios that keep coming out and saying the funding from, say, Game Pass and Microsoft is what enabled them to then make the game complete.
Mm-hmm.
It's this weird thing where it's like, what do you do in that scenario? Because let's say the game comes out like Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which they did cite Game Pass funding as something that helped them get to the finish line. And now look at it. It's like you may not have had that game in its current state without that funding. Or Team Cherry's about to drop Hollow Knight Silksong. It's going into Game Pass.
I skipped over that story.
They also had mentioned we didn't really have a lot of pressure because we were kind of financially free. Yes, the game sold a lot, but also, I mean, the Game Pass deal, I'm sure for that was kind of lucrative. I mean, let's be real.
I wrote that story down, went right over it. Yeah, Silksong's coming out September 4th.
They're coming after you. It's all over, man. Gosh.
I know that the game people have been waiting so long for. Totally. It's written right here. I had it next to Bubsy 4D.
All right, go ahead and hit it. Well, Bubsy overtook Silksong.
My priorities were a little.
Ryan is linked down below in the description if you want to go tell him how you feel.
My priorities were a little bit misaligned. Silksong does have a confirmed date. You can play the game in 2 weeks if you were really looking forward to that game.
Okay. Well, it's coming out September 4th.
That's all I had on that.
Okay. There you go. That's fine. This is Bobo says, do y'all believe a video game crash will happen like RGT?
Depending on who you ask, it happened.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever see a video game crash like we had back in the day because I think people still inherently play video games in some capacity, whereas way back in the day, people just literally stopped playing video games. So I think a crash at this point would be, I think, one of the big publishers going under, and it almost happened with Ubisoft. So technically, if you look at it that way, as Ryan said, it kind of almost happened. Or kind of did happen. Victor says Remedy finally listened to their fans and finally released a complete version with updates for the physical disc of Alan Wake 2 on the PS5. Screw Microsoft.
Now, the problem is they have to do that timely. Like the game came out much later, or the disc comes out much later, and that's when it's more content rich.
Kylie says, do you think Blue Point will release another game this decade? I would love. Oh,
I mean,
can they do that, Ryan?
This decade, I would hope so. They've got 5 years to go. So, and if they return to remakes, the turnaround time would be faster. I think an Eco remake would be lovely. I also think it'd be really, maybe not weird, but that game is very of its time. It's kind of clunky, and as different as it is, I think if people were exposed to that game nowadays, they'd think it's a pain in the ass to play. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
It's
that. Yeah.
It's a transformative experience. And that game is like always cited by some of the most beloved, well-known game creators out there of like, that game was art to me back then. I love it. It influenced me in so many ways. But I'm telling you, like, not a lot of people play that game. You go and play Eco, you're going to be like, this is a pain in the ass to play. Because it's basically an escort game the entire way through. It's very clunky with the combat.
Real Radic says y'all need to watch Twisted Metal. It's so good.
I'm just not a huge Twisted Metal person is the thing. Ironically, I think I would get more value out of the show than I would the games because it is a TV show.
It's on Peacock, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably would enjoy the show. Yeah, in fact, I saw some of the clips of the actual tournament, and I'm like, oh, this actually looks really, really good. So they're onto something. I might enjoy it.
Claw117 says the Sword of the Sea director literally said going day one into PlayStation Plus saved them. Stuff like that really makes me unsympathetic to Leiden's concerns. I saw that one too, Claw. Yeah, they put PlayStation Plus over big time, and we got an awesome game out of it. And I still recommend people go out and buy it. I don't know if there's there a physical copy of that.
Sword of the Sea.
On it. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you'll probably get one later from like a limited print company or something.
I'll make you move on it.
They make a good point. I mean, there's no denying how often there are success stories, because that's what it is. It's a check. It's a check that says, you know, well, they sort of formulate an idea of like how the game would sell if it was a la carte, and obviously it is a la carte, but they just get a guesstimate as far as like, here's what we think the game would do. Here's what we'll pay you. Sometimes that number is really good looking. Sometimes it's really bad. The most well-known story, to give it out there real quick, is with Lord Lanning and Oddworld Soulstorm. If you remember, that was a day one PS Plus deal, and he got screwed on that just based on the circumstance of they had to delay the game, and based on the number they agreed to for what they would get paid to put that game into PS Plus, that was highly influential on the PS5 install base. So they agreed to a number, game had to be delayed. By the time the game came out, it was exposed to far more people than their initial agreement would have led them to believe. And so he got the short end on that deal where, like, in theory, they could have been paid much more. That's like one isolated example. And again, it's super circumstantial, and you could place blame on the studio or whatever the case is. But, you know, there are definitely examples where like it saves the game and it's funding and it's like a safe bet. There are a handful of times where it doesn't work out for them so much.
Yep, you're both sides to it. Let me go over to some of our questions over on the network here. Joe McKenna says, with Final Fantasy VII Remake finally going to other consoles, do you think the third chapter will still launch as a timed exclusive?
I would think, but we don't really know the condition of Sony's agreement with Square. We have no idea. Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling that it will. And look, eventually Square will release it as some massive box set for like $200 anyway. But you know, it's going to happen. Yeah, they'll re-release it so many times, but I do think so. I think it's going to come out as a PS5 game first, and then a year or two later, it'll find its way onto Switch 2 and whatever Microsoft has at the time, their Xbox console. Let's see. This is from Zach, who says, was going to leave this for the Spawncast Saturday, but I was at a music festival, got to see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for 3 nights in a row. That being said, what's your favorite concert live show you've ever been to? I just went to mine. Sorry for the off-topic question. But I don't really go to a lot of concerts, Ryan. What's your favorite one?
I don't either.
Really? Man.
I really don't.
I go to mostly just like baseball, football games, basketball games. Sometimes I do like a lot of sporting events. I don't really go to a lot of like concerts or anything.
I mean, I've like been to them, but like not like a big concert or anything that would like stand out. You know what I mean? Like maybe small local stuff. This is definitely a quirk of mine where when I tell people this, they look at me like I'm like batshit insane. They look at me like I'm not like a person. Like, you've never been to a concert? Not a big one, no. So.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. This is from Medallion, who says Gene Park made an interesting reminder that the PSVR 2 didn't receive a price increase. I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I mean, it's not probably. I mean, maybe they'll stop not making them, or they are stockpiled. They might have a stockpile.
I was literally gonna say I think they're not manufacturing any.
Yeah. They just might have some sitting around.
I think they have a stock and they're still working through it. Actually, can you still buy a Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle? I think those are the same fucking ones they made.
You think so? Like original? Oh, well, wouldn't shock me. But yes, I think that's why.
I mean, I'm sure there's like a manufacturing date on them. I could be wrong, but I would not be even remotely surprised if their initial allocation is something they're still working through.
Kale says, now that Silksong and Prime 4 are releasing, is it finally time for Bloodborne to come back? Bloodborne's going to be the new Silksong. It's just slot in now. It'll always be asked for.
Well, the issue is there is no even like it's not even confirmed. Like it's not even a thing.
Bloodborne's going to be the new legend now, especially since Half-Life 3 is probably going to get revealed sometime soon. Zoob says, has there ever been an investment in the history of gaming which was worse for the business than PlayStation's investment into live service, or an acquisition in the history of gaming which was worse for business than Sony buying Bungie? Has there been an investment in the history of gaming which was worse for the business? Yes, I would say, it's going to sound really weird, Sega investing so much into Shenmue.
That's the one you're going with?
Well, it did some damage to them, and it was kind of like they weren't long for that world after Shenmue. Basically, they had to sell multiple copies to every one Dreamcast owner to make money on it. It was a very expensive game.
And then the issue with the PlayStation Live service stuff is that it's all happening during the most expensive like economic environment where games take so long to make, you know. That's why it looks as bad as it does.
Yeah. Live service thing has not been a good investment for them, no. Let's see. Or hey, you know what would be a worse? Hey, Stadia. There you go.
Was there ever a number put on that for Stadia?
No, but it had to have cost them, because when they closed it down, they refunded everybody everything.
You're right. So that's billions.
Literally went zero, and then whatever everything cost is negative. So there was no money made at all from that thing.
That's a good point. I think it's so easy to forget about Stadia.
It is. It was around for a couple years too. Someone needs to do like before we really forget about it, because it's still kind of in people's mind a little bit. Before we really forget all about it, someone needs to do like a retrospective and just put it on YouTube for history.
The Stadia retrospective.
Yeah, I think so. I think someone needs to do it. We need that. You know, I've done Stadia videos before, and it sounds weird, but they actually do really well. That's strange. I did one where I checked it out like a year later, and it did like a bunch of views. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Because no one else is doing it.
Now there's value to that, because you wouldn't know what Stadia looked like otherwise. I like logged in and checked it out and everything in the video.
Yeah,
how it's going. Ornal says, with the PS3 Vita stores days being numbered, syncing trophies to your online profile might go away alongside that. Ryan, what are you going to Panic Platinum when that time comes? I'd probably go back to the Trail series Vita ports.
Well, I'm not sure I would connect those two together necessarily, because I mean, all you need is a simple PSN handshake to sync trophies. So I don't know. I mean, I would think that when the store closes, you could still log into PSN, because there's the expectation of being able to still log into the store, sign into PSN, and re-download. Re-downloads will probably still be possible for the foreseeable future. It's turning off purchases, that's the issue. But if you can inherently still log in and re-download, you should still be able to sync trophies as well. So I would actually think trophy earning and syncing on Vita and PS3 is going to be safe for a kind of a long time. I hope, fingers crossed. You know, if it came down to it, I mean, I'd start building a list for sure. I don't know what that list would look like right now, but I think I've got plenty of time still.
And David asks, so I am guilty. I've not booted up my PlayStation 5 since Switch 2 came out, even though I picked up a Pro before the tariffs kicked in, and I have not played anything on it yet, but I went to check out the store to see if anything is on sale to play, and my wish list on the console is not working. It works on the app. What happened, and when are they fixing it?
I think I've heard about this before. Do they have a lot of things on their wish list?
The wish list is messing up, huh?
Yeah, I've heard about this. I don't know why, like what it looks like on the console and how it messes up, but probably gonna have to stick to mobile for the time being.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really looked into this problem too much. I do know recently they bumped up the limit on the wish list. You can do like over 200 something games now, or some weird number.
Figuratively literal says, a Jack series remake would go so hard. I've been waiting another installment of Jack since Daxter. A man can always hope.
I feel like I'm alone in saying I'm just not sure how I'd feel about Jack coming back.
No, that might be like super realistic graphics that freak you out.
Like maybe it's because I love the series too much, but I don't know how people could keep asking for this, because like I don't know if I trust anybody to like touch it and do it right. Like it makes me nervous. I almost don't want to clamor for more Jack, because it's like sacred to me. I would hate to see like a Lost Frontier come out again.
Is that everything? Okay, cool. All right, Ryan, what do you got for PSX? Go and give it to you.
PSX gonna give it to you. This is the time of the show where we go over something old, nostalgic, or cool about PlayStation history, drop some knowledge on the folks here. And with the release of Gears of War Reloaded coming to PlayStation 5, I thought it would be very interesting to look back at Gears of War 3 because, John, as you might know, Gears 3 does have a playable build on PS3 out there in the wild. It was discovered a few years ago now at this point from a hacker group called Xbox Underground. They gained unrestricted access to Epic Games' internal network. And so back in 2020 rather. So this was somewhat recent. Epic Games confirmed to Kotaku that the test build was real and it was a regular part of testing Unreal Engine 3 on consoles. So it was never intended to ship. But there is a working, playable Gears of War 3 build for PlayStation 3, which at the time, this was a game developed by Epic, published by Microsoft. This was when Microsoft was still very committed to traditional console exclusivity, arguably the time where they were the most fierce because that was Xbox 360. Gears was a huge, big property. And yet, behind the scenes internal testing, there was Gears of War 3 running on PlayStation 3. So this build finally got put out there. And it's something where like you can still like find it and download it. The problem is you cannot play it on retail consoles. It's only accessible with PS3 reference tool consoles. Those are the machines that still look like retail hardware, but they're fat PS3s and it says tool underneath it. Not test. That's a big clarifier there because there's test models, there's tool models. Those are reference development retail kits that will run on those systems because they have more memory. But you can like download this Unreal 3 build and play it on a reference tool PlayStation 3. It runs like ass because it's like, you know, not really meant for actual release. So it dips to like 10 FPS or something. I think like a lot of cutscenes are totally broken. But you can like get through the whole game from start to finish. And there's no like PlayStation buttons on it either. So it's all still like Xbox button prompts, but you can like, it's out there. And it's like a really cool thing that like, behind the scenes, studios will do this with their core technologies, their engines. They will test things like middleware on all these different platforms because they kind of have to. But that will be a thing they'll do. And no one would be like none the wiser of like, oh, this game has an exclusivity agreement. We're not going to ship it on the competitor, but we still want to test it on that machine. And so it was always a very polarizing thing to see Gears of War 3 running on a PlayStation 3. And now we're back around to the whole theory that maybe Gears 3 will someday find a home on PlayStation in a proper way. But back then, it was a thing.
MVG did a video a few years ago on this and does have one of those tool PS3 systems and was showcasing it there. And you're right, it looks terrible to play. He showed a few times crashing. There's a lot of screen tearing, but it still looks weird to have the PS3 running Gears of War. He does
have a great video on it. I suggest everyone go take a look at it. I think he had to borrow that PS3 tool model too. I don't even think it's his.
That's interesting. I wonder what do they think those go for now?
They're a lot. Yeah,
kind of expensive.
I've got 2 test consoles and those are still like very close to retail. So you can't run that build on those consoles.
Okay. Yeah, so you said it's the additional RAM that allows it to play it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just funny. Look, you're right. It's running at like 20 frames per second or something. It's not great, but it's funny that they use that to test just Unreal Engine on like the PS3. And I guess it also makes sense from that perspective since they were the ones really working with Unreal Engine and that was their game kind of. So it's interesting. And I'm still, was there ever a backstory about how it got out there?
Yeah, it was like a hacker group. Xbox Underground.
Hacked it and got it or found it. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
They found it on their like internal servers.
Oh, how big is do you know how big the file is for that thing?
You know, I actually have it. Let me see.
Heard it here.
I'll do a spotlight search. I don't know where I left the file. It might be like it's somewhere. I think it's like maybe a gig or 2. I don't know.
And Ryan was doing one of these when I said I had a hacked PS3. Look at him. It's like, he's like painting hacked PS3.
Stop. Maybe I might have deleted it.
You got a little worried one night. You're like, wait a minute, I can't have this on my computer.
No, that's fine.
Panicked.
I can't. I don't know where the file is. You can probably look it up. It's probably on Internet Archive or something.
I was just curious, like how much data they had to rip off of there and like run. It's like I assume it's several gigabytes, but that's an interesting thing for history. It's like this whole time people were going back and forth with 360 and PS3. Look how cool Gears 3 looks. You're never gonna get this, and somewhere in a studio, with Unreal Engine, they're playing it on the PS3. It does make you wonder about. I mean, we see Helldivers 2 just as an example going to Xbox. It makes you wonder about the idea of them playing around with have they sat there and been like, I wonder if God of War would work on the Xbox? Oh, we have dev kits. Let's find out. Or on Microsoft side, I wonder if Halo would work on the PlayStation. Let's try it.
Well, it's like they got Decima on Xbox, the Decima engine.
Yeah, it's just funny to think about that going on in the background while people are like console war fighting each other online over it. So
there's definitely very cool things behind the scenes happening.
Victor says, I feel like Team Asobi could possibly pull off in doing a new Sly Cooper or Jack and Daxter game.
I agree. Like there are very few studios where I'd look at them and go, okay, you're allowed to touch this beloved property of mine. I would put a lot of faith in Team Asobi.
Okay, there it is. Make some calls, Ryan. Make some calls.
All right, because I can do that. Okay.
I believe in you. I think that's everything though, right? You got everything?
Yeah, we almost missed Silk Song, but we got
almost. They were gonna come for you. They probably still will. So good luck with that.
That's fine.
Everyone go leave something about Silk Song below his video.
Thanks.
All right. Well, that's everything, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that. There it is. Figuratively literal says, I get the skepticism, but with that attitude, we may never have gotten the God of War reboot among many others.
Well, I only say that because I would think that if we get new entries in some of these beloved franchises, they go to other studios. And typically that does happen.
Okay.
That was in-house. I think if we're getting a new Jack, it's not going to be Naughty Dog. In fact, we almost had Naughty Dog do a Jack 4 that looked very different from what we normally expect from Jack and Daxter. That's the underlying
depressing and sad.
That's the context, though, when I say stuff like that. Like, I think they're usually going to commission out a different studio. That's where it's like, I'm kind of nervous about that,
Okay. Well, I think we got everything. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Check out Ryan down in the description. Let him know about Silk Song in his video tomorrow. Thanks, guys. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks to talk PlayStation again. We'll be streaming as well. So make sure you stop by. We're trying to get the timing right. Usually ends up being around this time, but we'll try to let you guys know ahead of time next time. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.